I know, but you gotta.
Okay, we're gonna start a meeting. All right. Could I turn on the camera?
I just call the meeting to order at 7:09 p.m. Ron requested absence. He got called to work in Bahrain yesterday morning. Is there a motion to excuse his absence?
I got to come over to excuse those absence.
I second. How do we know?
Because they called
He's
him.
actually in another conference.
I called it, tried him at the airport. He was going to London.
Okay, thank you.
And he did want to,
He works for a
he did want a conference on, but we couldn't get a telephone. We need to get a telephone system so we can conference it. Or anybody,
Yeah,
because
or
I couldn't,
anybody.
I couldn't conference on last month and I was ready to conference on.
Because you have to have one like this phone system will do
All in
it.
favor?
I don't think this phone system will do it.
We'd have to, we'd have to upgrade our phones somehow.
Which phone are you talking about?
For here to be able to do the conference. We've talked about getting a phone, omnidirectional
That way we
microphone.
just have no pictures of them sitting up.
Oh, it's not
They were besides out of the country, you can't come anywhere. Okay, there's a motion. Okay.
Motion, we have a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, everybody. Sure, would you like to lead us into the roll call?
Okay, we're gonna say the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know why the phone system didn't come. I just don't install it several times a week. They're always work.
We'll work, we need to work on it.
And I'll donate a phone system for you.
Okay, since it's such a small crowd tonight, I think we won't do the speakers things. Does anybody have public comment that they want to do before we get into the meeting? Non-agendized items. Deborah first.
I just have a question. Can you tell us how much the Children's Center was assessed in fines by the licensing commission? I know it was $500. Were there any more fines?
Yes, there was another $100 fine.
Okay. So, and what was that for?
That was for commingling, for which they submitted a waiver now to commingle.
Okay. Was the $500 also for commingling?
I don't recall.
Who
Okay.
is the levy?
Licensing.
Licensing, state of California.
Thank you.
Well, the interesting thing to me is that we've been commingling for years. And
Right.
I don't know how it became an issue now.
What got commingled? I mean, obviously.
Older kids and little kids.
Ages, not money, but kids.
Different ages of kids. You know better.
Well, preschool is a separate program, school ages, separate program. The state of California doesn't allow certain ages and certain ages. So at the Children's Center being so small, with staffing cut back and cutting back, money going out to teachers and everything to try to save the program.
Yeah.
Children have been, in the playground at the same time that are from the school age program and the preschool program, like during the summertime or, usually it's just in the summertime. But state licensing came through and said no. So
this is,
and I don't know how, I haven't talked to Amy about it to find out how it happened that she didn't ever get cited for it.
The problem was that I think that, no licensing didn't come through. But we got a complaint, last month and licensing came through and they were alleged complaints. But commingling had occurred the month before. So part of that, probably to answer your question, Deborah, was commingling, part of that fee, the initial penalty. So when they came through again on a false complaint, two alleged complaints that we didn't get cited for, they came through and there was one preschooler running through the grounds, the playground, while the school-age kids were there. So,
You can't even have a little kid running around with
not
the
even,
bigger kids?
not even if they're supervised even.
Well, now we're asking for a waiver for that because that's effectively how it's been run for years.
Right,
So-
we've run it that way for years, but now we've asked for the waiver to do that. So that is submitted, and I did talk to the surveyor myself, so we will not be able to commingle the entire day like we had been for years, but we will be able to, because of financial reasons, we will be able to commingle for an hour at the beginning of the day and an hour at the end of the day when we might have staffing that's minimal.
I'd like to editorialize on our
Yeah,
people who make these decisions,
but
but
we won't.
in the interest of trying to be a gentleman.
Bob, did your comment on the same topic?
No, we're still in the public comments?
Yeah, but your wife is first.
Oh, that's, I just want to tell everybody that back here are 5 cards for the fire stations and the Forest Service. If anybody would like to sign them, I'll take them over to the stations tomorrow. We started signing them at the potluck Sunday, which was a really good turnout. We had like 200 people there.
Good
It was
job,
great.
Pat. That was
It was
awesome.
great. It was fun. But anyway, the cards are here if anybody would like to sign them.
Just a real short,
Now Bob's next.
okay.
Did I get a dollar figure for the total that's been transferred from the general fund to the children's center since July 1st to date?
I don't have that number, I just have the report for August.
I heard that it's something in the order of $7,000 a month.
Well, we had 5,000 last year, 5,500. So,
It would, well, what I saw transfer was 7,000 last month and close to 7,000 this month. But then another excerpt from Megan explaining how things overlapped and didn't really spend that much time figuring out where money were being
Can I
moved.
request, Becky?
yeah,
Yes.
no problem.
So
It's
tell us
not-
again, Bob, you want from July 1st
July 1st to present.
to, okay?
Do we know kinda where we're at from the
Yes.
beginning?
Yeah, well, we
To
know,
now?
we know this month that just went through was about 5,500.
No, I mean from the time that you guys voted to start supplementing the children's center to now, the year?
We had that number a couple months ago, I know we brought it, I don't have it with me.
Well, that was the end of July, right?
Well, I just know that Greg said it was up to 30,000 last month, but it was like 35,000 like 4 or 5 months ago. So I don't know where that number came
We took the
from.
vote in July, right?
Pardon me?
The vote was in July.
We don't know the actual number, so we'll find out and get back to you.
But we can address
That's
August.
But we don't know kind of a ballpark or nothing right now?
Okay.
Not the way Megan does it, it's not on a monthly basis.
Well, there's a notes payable, SMRPD, and old payable to SMRPD. Wouldn't that be the number?
These aren't the right numbers.
71,000.
That sounds about right.
SMRPD, old payable, 36,000. Is that the right number for the old one, 36?
No, the old one was about 65.
Oh,
Depends on how old you're talking about.
So we're
Yeah.
talking about 70 grand, it sounds like, since the year that you guys have been supplementing the children's center?
Maybe, I'm not positive, just tell you
But it's
the
getting
exact
up there.
number. Yeah,
Wow.
the good news
But
is.
last month you said it was like 30,000. I'm going, wait, where'd that number come from? 'Cause it was 35,000 like 4 or 5 months ago.
uh, Judy.
Just a real quick, this is the first time in the history of this community that during an emergency, those with disability access and functional needs had a voice to emergency resources for the county, and it worked. This is something I've been working on for almost 2 years now, and it was just wonderful to see. So I just want to make that public. Thank you.
Kevin.
I was just wondering, I've been coming to these meetings almost every month. We've been asking about the finances and reports on the Children's Center for the last 3 months, maybe 4 months. And it's always, we don't have those numbers and we get back to you.
We do have the report,
Well,
we
what's,
do have the report for August.
but it's,
We have that, we have a monthly report every month. So the only number I can't guarantee to you is the number of the total that we spent on it since last
Since
September.
July 1st, you're asking for July 1st. Is that
That's what I asked.
clear? Is there any
I've
other
asked
request?
for July.
Because we'll get it, we will get the number.
No, my phone.
September.
I don't understand the workings of it. So, how does money get transferred? Does the Children's Center request a certain amount and it just goes to Megan and then Megan writes a check to send to them? Or,
No, Megan gets invoices, and she requests the transfer. The Children's Center doesn't request anything but a payroll transfer, and I do have those exact numbers, and I can tell you, we did go over and clarified some of it and made it quite specific this time, so we will be able to give you that information quite clearly for August and in the future. And we'll be glad to pass these numbers around.
so it's the Children's Center creates some sort of debt for some reason and then has an invoice.
Not only the Children's Center, some of the invoices we found in a meeting that we had with Megan were getting allocated to the Children's Center, but they shouldn't have been allocated to the Children's Center. Like, for example, an invoice came in from the Century this month, and it was going to be allocated to the Children's Center. And we had to research it and found that it wasn't really a Children's Center expense, but some of those things were happening.
So, but that's not how it works. Something is generated by what materials or
Right, so
product,
what-
and
so what-
then they buy it, they get an invoice, and then they present it to Megan.
So what happened, and Bob doesn't like how we did it, but what we did was, several months ago, we said, okay, Megan gets the things, if there's a deficit, she sends it to Ron the treasurer, and Ron says that she can pay it. And we approved the expenses through the Children's Center to approximately the end of December.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Is there a reason that you don't do it publicly when you make the transfer?
Well,
That would
that's a
make it
timing,
perfectly transparent.
it's a timing issue because
Even after
Megan,
the fact, do it publicly.
can do
It
that.
hasn't been happening.
We've been
Yeah.
asking.
There's
here
no
in
reason why it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we've been asking.
That'll be easy. Okay, so this, or you're gonna get to the report later.
Mhm.
Wendy, was that your question?
Yeah, I just want to know, because I have no idea how that.
I think part of the issue was that Megan and Lori were not communicating as much as they needed to be, and Lori was not really keeping track of the expenses. She was just passing on the invoices and not really looking at them or coding them to the right account, so they just got passed on. So now what we have Lori at the Children's Center looking at them and specifically doing an accounting of it, and Megan looking at them and specifically doing accounting of them, so they both match at the end of the month. And we did purchase that new software to make sure that we're, on the right track and we're gonna balance exactly or almost to the penny, which we
I know you
did
said that thing you didn't want.
manually during the month of August.
So one thing that's been hard is that we get tuition, but not everybody pays the month that it's due. And so we have our tuition coming in staggered, but the expenses are every month. So we're trying to figure out a way to get that report so that you can see, yes, we had this many students this month, and this is how much we charged them. we effectively have no bad debt anymore, right?
Yeah, and I can go over that, I have the exact numbers, so.
And then the expenses, so the number that we get from Megan as this number isn't as handy as the number that says, here's the tuition we charge, which is all what we want to know. What did we charge this month for the kids, and what were our expenses? Because that's what we need to know if we're going to keep the place up or not.
But that happened at the suggestion of particular board members. I don't think that we voted on changing that financial structure.
There's no change in the financial structure. This is the financial structure, but to give people a real idea on what's happening,
But
what's the money in?
putting the number that is being billed versus what has always been done, putting the number that's actually come in, the Children's Center historically doesn't always get paid what it bills. So
Right.
you're putting out a number that really isn't real.
No, this is a real number.
No, both, yeah. This is the real number, the number that tells us if we're pulling in enough kids to keep the place open or not. And here's our expenses. That's the number that they're trying to generate so that we have that. Did that make sense?
Would that be correct to say that one of the major reasons for the problems that exist now is non-payment of the,
No, it all
non-payment,
addressed.
I'm sorry, it has been, non-payment.
Oh, it has in the
of the-
past, yes.
And
But not
it's
this month.
magically stopped,
Of what?
the non-payment,
Yes.
Of non-payment of what?
Tuition,
the
right?
tuition.
Yes.
I think the tuition, Lori said that, well, that'll be in her
That's
report. Okay. Consent calendar. I'd like to pull the minutes and talk about them. Does anybody want to approve items A1 through A3 with those bills? Yeah, make a motion.
Second.
Right. All in favor?
Sorry. Hi.
What I want to talk about on the minutes is how we address Shay's comments that were directed to me at the last meeting. And we have other items, we have more material to talk about that and refute some of her things tonight. I don't know the right way to do that. Do we just take these minutes the way they are? Or do we postpone them, or do we, I didn't have a chance to ask the attorney what
Don't
can we
approve the
do?
minutes.
We didn't ask the attorney.
Well,
Well, hold on a second, Becky, we don't want,
We can't approve the minutes if they're wrong.
exactly, if the minutes, if you don't approve them because you want something changed, you change it right now, and then once you make the changes to the minutes, you can do that right now, and then vote on the minutes when you're done changing them.
what I don't
And then you put them in record after you change them tonight. If there's any dispute or something, then you dispute it, you make the changes, if they're accordingly, and then you vote on them.
Are they wrong? Are the minutes wrong?
no, they're incomplete.
Okay, so we can't approve them,
No, I think we can.
but we have to change them. We can't approve them as they are. Would you like to make a change to the minutes, and then we can approve them with the changes?
No, there's
You can
more,
always make a motion to amend the minutes.
I think let's approve them and we can amend them
No,
down.
you can't do that.
Can't do that.
You can't do that.
Before they're
No.
approved.
Once approved, they're
Point of
approved.
order.
They go into file.
They're either approved as read, or they're approved as amended.
Once you approve them, they're approved, can't change them.
Okay, so I'm okay with approving them the way they are. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes?
I'll abstain, or was it present?
I'll second.
Thanks, Dean.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So make
Abstain.
Bev, one abstention. Okay, Children's Center report.
Okay, so, we have, in the Children's Center report for August 2014, we had 40 preschoolers and 10 school-age no, I'm sorry, 40 enrolled, 10 preschoolers and 30 school-age children, for a total of 27 full-time equivalents. We had, oh, I should probably hand out.
Are there any copies?
Yes, there are copies.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Anybody else wants to see it? Okay, so again, total enrolled 40 children from the month of August 2014, preschoolers 10, school-age children 30, 27 full-time equivalents. So we are up a little bit, but we are figuring full-time equivalents out more exact. Exact now, we consider a full-time equivalent 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So that's a full-time equivalent. We had tuition billed of $4,871.88, and we had total expenses of $10,196.27. The variance is $5,325, and there's an explanation from Megan of $5,119.99 in total irregular expenses. The irregular transactions included the third payroll and payroll taxes due to the Labor Day holiday. So in other words, there was an extra payroll that wasn't really from the month of, from that month in that financial report. The new software purchase, that was a one-time expense. And there's also a social services penalty, which is awaiting appeal. So Megan writes, please see Megan's explanation for needing to transfer $5,500 to cover the payroll and payroll taxes on 8/15/14 below. There were 3 payrolls in August due to the Labor Day holiday falling on 9/1/14. We pay our payroll taxes on the 15th of every month for the prior month's payroll checks. The federal payroll taxes usually average $1,200 per month, and the state payroll taxes usually average $118 per month. On the 15th, I had a federal tax payment due of $2,356.60 and state tax payments due of $271.12. That's $2,627.72. I also had no deposits made in the month of September yet by that date. Since then, Lori has made a deposit of $1,786. If that deposit had been ready and we hadn't had the increased payroll taxes due in the third payroll in August, the transfer would have been $2,000 instead. I also added $500 because the SCE bill and the phone bill being deducted automatically. I didn't want to overdraw the account. That's from Megan directly. That's her email. So that explains why that happened. Now, in the future, they're going to do the payroll on the 1st and the 15th of the month, or the 15th and the last day of the month, whichever. They'll only do 2 payrolls a month, so that won't happen again. So they won't have a third payroll in the month. So does that make sense to you? Yes.
I have a question. What are the FTEs that you said there were?
27 FTEs.
And what's the tuition?
The tuition is, the weekly tuition is $190 per week. So if you divide 190 by 26, you get 25.641 FTEs collected. So that would put the average weekly tuition collected per FTE at $180.44. Why the variance? Because we had 8 Groupons and 1 CalWorks student, which we're still awaiting tuition, is about $162.79 per week, or $700 per month. And additional hours pending an invoice from Megan for August that haven't been invoiced yet because they were over on the tuition, and she bills the tuition at the beginning of the month, so they're waiting to get invoiced at $400 a month. So that really puts us over. You'll find that it puts us over the 190 per week. Why? Because I asked the same question, and it's because kids are sometimes there more than 8 hours, and they charge you. that.
You can't calculate full-time equivalent based on the money that you bring in. You have to calculate it based on the hours for which the children are signed up.
We did, that's how we.
But I
that's how-
thought in your explanation, you said you divided it by 27 to get the,
No, I'm saying just the money, if we were gonna do the balance, if we were gonna do a checks and balance, we took the number of full-time equivalents and divided it, divided the $4,871.88 by the full-time equivalents, just to check and balance. We did it by hours. I said what we consider a full-time equivalent is 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
So they did it both ways.
We did it both ways to make sure it checked.
do you know what the enrollment is in September?
I don't have that number. I don't have that number. I'm only looking at August. But we have gotten, I think we got a new student this week and we have a new student next week. I believe it is more than what it was at the end of last year. But I can't swear to that.
So
I think it's more than 4.
So the good news is it's about 2,000 loss, or a little less than 2,000 loss for the month.
It's less, actually, it's less than 2,000 loss for the month, which is what I think we're committing to.
I did the math, I thought it was about 1,700, so I wondered why Megan got a different number than I did.
Well, because of the extra 500, I think.
Okay. Kevin's had his hand up.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. One is on your full-time equivalent, how many of those full-time equivalent are from Silverado?
18.
And the other question is, you're saying there's only a 2,000 negative, but
I'm sorry, I'm gonna back that up, I've gotta reiterate. 18, I don't know how many full-time equivalents are from Silverado. 18 Canyon kids were registered in the month of August.
well, it would be helpful to have the equivalent, full-time
I
equivalent.
can get that
'Cause
number.
then we know what a negative is going out to, you know, you can break it up. The other thing is, I'm wondering, you're saying it's really only a negative 2,000 a month, but technically, when you run a business, you have to think of your quarterlies, you have to think of your payroll taxes. That's all part of doing business, so in reality, it's still a negative 5,000 or whatever it was that you said it.
No, it's not.
No.
Well, it's based on payroll.
That last.
You gotta have payroll, you're supposed to be making up,
Kevin, the
it's
pay-
called a P&L.
Kevin, the payroll, Lori asked Megan to pay the people a day ahead because the first was a holiday, which is when they would have been paid. So it threw, so it threw an extra payroll on
Into
the
August.
30th, 31st of that month. That's what Megan's trying to explain, is that this is why the number looks so bad. Is that, so next month it's gonna look great, it's gonna be wildly positive, but it's not wildly positive because the money was paid. So if we look at it your way, next month we could have, you know, several $1,000s positive, but that's not true.
Let's see that.
And Shay and I met with Lori just a little while ago, and talked about the fact that maybe we really need to look at it, not so much on a monthly basis, but on a rolling basis.
Well, and-
So, because last month, we weren't hardly negative at all, if you look at it this way.
Last, I'm sorry.
Well,
5,000.
7,000 was canceled.
Yeah, but it-
Negative,
it wasn't, we weren't negative that amount.
but 7,000 was transferred.
I don't know, I can't speak to that
Okay.
number, but I do have the numbers of, that we revised, that we looked at, and we were only, negative $1,065.15. That was according to Megan's numbers.
But again,
But
usually,
What is the average monthly expense?
The average monthly expense is, not including the variance, would be about $4,871. No, about $5,000.
No, that can't be.
That,
Well, if you look at the variance, if you take the variance off there.
does that include like electrical,
Oh,
phone,
that's I thought
everything?
you meant without the variance.
I thought your average monthly,
Oh,
you know, that
10,000,
should be one
yeah.
number.
$10,000, about $10,000.
Should be at least that.
Okay, well, $10,000 a month is your average expense. If you've got
What's your average?
27 FTEs and their tuition is averaging 180 per FTE,
190.
I'm gonna say 180 because you said there's some collection problems or something, so we'll write off some of that to give you the benefit of the doubt. That's $4,860 a week. If you multiply that by 4.3, which is how most business people think of a month is 4.3, that's $20,898 per month. And if you're spending $10,000 a month on average, you should have a $10,000 a month profit on average.
You mean, $10,000 a month in revenue?
No,
Profit.
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 Oh, in profit.
Yes.
According to the full-time.
According to the full-time equivalents?
Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
Well, that's the number she's
This
giving me
might clear
here,
up
and
my
I,
question.
let's see, maybe she figured out her full-time equivalents are on.
We've never had that many full-time equivalents of
Yeah,
this.
that's pretty remarkable.
You know, she
And
probably,
18
what she
from
probably
Silverado.
didn't do was divide it by 4.3, you're right.
That's where you built a little bit of.
Okay, yeah, so
That
it
financial
looks like,
software?
yeah, that's gonna figure out the full-time equivalents. So what she's probably didn't do was divide it, which would give you 6.27 full-time equivalents, which I think we had 4.5, when she started, or 3.8 was the last time. So I'm sure, again, she's not, I think Lori is not really a business person, she's trying to figure this out, but the new software program will provide the full-time equivalents for her.
Why is she a director?
It's a children's center, software,
Yeah.
runs preschools.
Broke everything.
So, yeah,
It's not like QuickBooks or whatever.
that's probably what she
From
did.
what she said
Divide it.
today, it will help her relieve Megan from some of the things that Megan has to, that she has to wait to hear from Megan.
I will clarify that though, because she was adding up a lot of hours, and I will clarify that. But you're right, we've not had that many full-time equivalents. We did need 9 to break even, so it seems, which is what we figured out.
27.
So that 27 is not the right number. Yeah.
Right.
I guess my question is, and that 27 number, which is now you're saying we have 9, or I don't know, I'm not quite. 6, I'm not clear.
6.27, it's probably 6.27.
So I was wondering if that 27 number came because of the, I guess my question is, the homeschoolers are coming there now. I was wondering, is that number equated into the number that you're using?
No, that number isn't in here because the homeschool program didn't start until September.
Yeah, 'cause I thought I saw a lot of cars up there certain days of the week.
Yeah.
So that number hasn't.
And do you have a contract with the homeschoolers now?
There's a pending contract. We haven't seen it yet though, but I think there's a contract.
And the
It is-
public will
I think
find out
it's-
when?
Pardon me?
And the public finds out about that when? You know what?
As soon as we get the final pending contract, I think we should get a copy of it.
Yeah.
Who signs that contract? Does
We
she
do.
sign that?
We do.
We do, the board signs it?
Ron probably did.
It has to be voted on before it's signed.
Yeah.
So,
It has to be public, you know.
so is it, who's making the decisions over at the children's center then to bring the homeschoolers in and that kind of thing? Is that Lori's, baby with just trying to, increase
I think
revenue?
we've charged her, the board has charged her with ways to find ways to increase revenue. And that's one of the things that the community has come to her with.
Yeah, we had
Just-
a
She's been
think
here,
tank.
she's spoken to you
meeting.
guys.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah,
think tank.
yeah. I'm
But
just- I'm
one
just
thing
wondering-
is, do you think Lori's the right
I'm sorry,
person?
Excuse me,
Wendy's
Wendy's still
still
talking. Thanks, Kevin.
So, that's where I'm going,
Yeah.
because you've just made a comment that she's not much of a, business is not her forte. So,
The math at least.
Maybe numbers.
Well, she,
Full-time equivalent.
that's sort of what you need.
Full-time, figuring out full-time equivalents is new to her.
right, well,
Yeah.
it throws into question too, what she's basing her decisions on with bringing the homeschoolers and things like that. I'm just wondering what her, is she just Anyway, that's all I need to do. Okay. Just question.
Can I talk to somebody, or you want me to wait? Oh, well, remember at the brainstorming meeting, the homeschool group was brought forward by Laurel Ward, a mother in the canyon, and that's a group that she's been working with, and she finally felt safe to bring it to the Children's Center and work with Lori on.
Well, I just think that, you know, I think it's a fine idea, but I think that they put the cart before the horse. You know, I think the details need to be worked out before they actually start using the facility. And it doesn't sound like all that has been worked out, especially if we don't have a contract and know what's going on over there. So,
Well,
just
I think
that
they
we-
met with the licensing agency and didn't speak with the licensing agency, so I'm sure we're going to
Who's
see
the they?
Lori and Laurel. So I'm sure that they worked out some of the details and
Well, then we should see those details, it seems like.
we
You know,
should
and
get,
we-
We'll get, yeah, we need
But
to
we
get,
haven't seen them. Somebody has the details because
Of
there
the
was a
contract.
decision made to go ahead with that idea because there were details that were discussed and everyone says, okay, that sounds good, let's go ahead. So it should, you folks
We'll
should
go ring
see
it out
something
over,
like that.
there's not a final contract yet,
Well,
but
it
it's just
doesn't
like
matter
a
if
daily
it's final,
use
is there a
thing.
working one?
Yes,
that-
there is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and we're.
That should be
so-
public.
Yeah, I would think we should be able to see
call,
this.
call Lori.
Well, I mean,
Call her.
I
Are
think
you
her point
kidding?
is, the
Call her.
board should
Right.
know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen-
Unbelievable.
I haven't seen
Lori,
anything.
I don't think Lori really wants to have a conversation with some of the canyon people. I think she's
It shouldn't be up to
so
them.
She
I,
wants to talk to
personally,
you.
I wouldn't pursue that.
I told her she wants to talk to you because you were nice.
I haven't seen the contract.
I told
either.
her
Okay,
she wants to
We'll get a
talk to
copy
you.
of it.
Okay, well,
Let's
Thank
get a
you.
copy
Okay.
of it. And
Judy,
You guys, the SMRPD has a checkbook, right? And do you have that checkbook, and can we just look at that and see how many checks have been written to the Children's Center in the last couple months? That would give us a rough idea of what we're trying to figure out is how much it's costing
that number
taxpayers.
is gonna be provided because Brett and Bob asked for it, so we'll have that number and I'll get it out to you guys immediately.
Could I ask that it not be modified for any corrections?
It'll be Megan's number, period.
Okay, thank you,
That's the total gross number, whatever she says it is.
thank you.
Just two things. One is, they won't find checks, because she does transfers, bank transfers, so you're not gonna find written checks. And, you know, you talk about not having the details, but if you go on Celebration Education's website, they have tremendous amount of detail about their program at Silverado UN. They have all their fees, they have all the different types of programs, so they have thought thoroughly about what they're going to do at Silverado, so you guys might not, but
Lori's estimate right now is that we're gonna probably get 700 to 800 a month from them. And then as they bring more, that's for the children that they brought in September. And then that number is, if Celebration makes a go of it, then that number goes up by a couple hundred, I think, a month for every kid they bring in.
well, one child there, I think they're charging $1,300 or $1,400 a month. So, and it has like 10 different options for parents as to how many days a week and stuff like that. So I don't know that 700 a month, but I have no idea how many people have signed up for
I
that.
think it's working out somewhere in that 200 a kid range, because that was a number she gave me one day, but
You should look at the website. There's lots of information on there.
200 per,
kid coming to us
per how much time?
And,
per month.
and that's
Well-
only 2 days a week. I think it's $80 a day per kid, is what it is what we get. Is the number
And they're
that.
using the room that we had empty, and we're
I do, though I went on it yesterday, because I hadn't checked the website in a long time, and I saw the new page. And everything else was basically the same, with just a little bit of additions, but certain pictures that were like eco explorers and stuff like that were moved over to there, and I just don't wanna create like something that isn't yet, you know what I mean? It should be appropriate pictures and everything for that program, I think, rather than what the Children's Center normally does on other activities, they moved over to that particular education program, because they're not the same programs. Eco Explorers pictures that I took that I had on the website got moved over to there. So I didn't think to say that to Lori today. I'll talk to Lori about it, just in case. If it's not a problem with everybody, then that's fine. But it bothered me.
Anything else you have?
Just a few other things she has. The Roosters grant, she's wondering when that's gonna be coming in.
I should have that check by tomorrow, I think.
Okay, all right.
We got $9,000 from them. We got, how much
Oh,
came
did it
from?
come through? Is that
I'm gonna
approved?
pick it up tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
We got, what did we raise for the?
What nonprofit did it go through?
Chili cook-off wasn't.
It did, they gave it to us directly. ICL
Refused it.
kinda said they didn't wanna do it.
No, that's not.
That's
That's
not
not
true,
what they
Greg.
said.
Well,
No, ICL
Uh-uh.
said, ICL said
I see all
that,
what?
we were gonna have ICL process that money to us, so I talked to Roosters, because it didn't happen, and we want the money in the account. And I talked to them, and they said, you know what, we're a 501c3, we'll be your 501c3.
But that's not
Yeah,
true.
why would it have to go
Okay,
through the entertainment thing? I don't
said-
understand.
Okay.
I guess it didn't have to.
I wanna clarify something,
It didn't
sorry.
have to, but that's
ICL, we brought it to ICL last month, for a request to take it through ICL. And Jill said that there was some hesitation
there's a big
by
difference
a
between
couple of the
hesitation
members,
and
and
saying
Linda
no.
said she definitely wanted to see the grant proposal, to look at it, so that it could possibly be approved through the ICL. And Phil said that there was a process, and I told Greg that we have to take it through the process, which is absolutely the way it should be.
Thank you.
And then I talked to Greg, and they said that they would approve it anyway, because we were a not-for-profit organization.
Did you, in that
So it wasn't
conversation,
ICL
imply that to the Roosters that the ICL had refused? Because that is
No,
not
I
a
did not.
characterization.
I did not say that. What I
You
said
said it here.
was, it's not going as fast as I need it to. They want the money out of their account because they have to have it cashed by a certain day. And so then Rooster said, we're a 501c3, we will give the money to you directly.
Okay, so your statement here tonight that the ICL had refused it is just something you summarily say in random?
No, ICL,
Turned it
Was
down
it?
that
No.
night,
we
They didn't
needed
turn
the
it
money
down.
to go
You
through.
didn't turn it down.
not turned it down, but didn't approve it that night.
We needed it to be done faster because Roosters needs it off their books by a certain date. And so I didn't figure there was any way we would get it back to ICL before next month, and they need it cashed and out of their account before then. So they're
That's a
giving
little
that,
different than what you said.
yeah, so that it was a timing issue and there wasn't time to do that. But, and I didn't go to the ICL meeting, but I did understand there was quite a bit of hesitation on whether they
There
wanted
was.
to do it or not.
There were
Don't make comments if
questions.
you weren't there.
Well,
That's
they
historical.
wanted, you know, they wanted to know what it was about.
Which
But
is
you
their
see,
right.
you guys just should have asked earlier. I mean,
And
If
submitted
you-
the
if-
grant proposal.
yeah,
We
you
just-
should have, you know,
we
if
just
you
submitted
needed
it.
the ICLs, it turns out you didn't even need them, so,
Well, we just submitted the grant and got it approved
Yeah.
within the last month.
Yeah.
good.
So it happened rather quickly, and there was a lot of hesitation.
Yeah, but you see, you should, if you wanted the ICL to be the pass-through organization, before you even put in the application,
We
you should have
didn't
asked the
know-
ICL.
We didn't
But-
know there was a need for a pass-through organization until they gave me the money.
And there actually wasn't, so.
Okay, that's odd, but
So that's why,
Okay.
that's why it's peculiar.
that's peculiar.
What's
Yeah.
peculiar?
Well,
Well, that
normally,
now,
normally, yeah,
the ICL wasn't gonna do it, and then all of a sudden they said, oh, well, we got about 513C. Why wouldn't they have just done that in the first place?
normally
To
when
get you
you
the
apply
money.
for a grant, it says that you, it has, under the qualifications might be, you must be a 501c3. And so, right when you started filling it out, you would have seen that you needed to be a 501c3, and then at that
It says
point,
not-
you
yeah,
would have
there's a-
contacted
Unless it was
the
just a
ICL.
verbal.
But it sounds like you didn't know that.
It said it needed to be a nonprofit. And it turns out that SMRPD is a nonprofit.
Okay,
But then they said, well, we'd really like it to be a 501c3.
okay.
And then we're like, and then the money needed to come out of their account, and we needed the money in the Children's Center account.
Yeah, so it
that's
just
where we're
wasn't
at.
clear at the beginning.
Yeah, that's where we're
okay.
at. So
It's probably
Next
all
year we
like
need to
a
plan
little
for it
casual,
ahead and-
probably a little casual feeling.
Yeah,
maybe you can help shepherd it through.
usually you find out when you first do the application, but I guess not in this situation.
Well, the money, certain funds from the Roosters come from two different organizations. One comes from the Roosters Foundation, and the other one comes from an organization called Windsong. Windsong was the entity that requires the 501c3. So the Roosters, thinking that they're passing, it coming through the foundation instead of Windsong.
So originally, the Roosters was gonna give us some money through the foundation, but it turned out they only had like $3,500 to give us.
Yeah.
And they said, well, that's not enough, we need more. And so they didn't realize the educational component, and I said, well, we're exactly what this group wants to give. And so I got them up to $9,000, and it came out of this other pot. The next one that came out.
All's well that ends well.
Yes. $9,000, and we have a chance to get it next year too.
To benefit our community, so.
Can I make a comment though? I was in all the meetings when we were begging the Intercanyon League to sponsor the children 501c3 for the grants that I talked to you about today, and it was a series of meetings before it was approved and only when those grants were reviewed by the board and everything. So that's the history of doing that, because there's a liability. There were people on the ICL board that felt that there was a liability with accepting those funds, and how could they track accountability and all of that. So to go into an ICL meeting that night and expect to get an answer, and then to report here at this meeting that turned out, that wasn't really doing the homework on how that procedure goes with the Intercanyon League.
501c3s have.
I apologize to all Intercanyon League members.
Well, congratulations on that. I think that's a good job and a job well done, and terrific congratulations. But I would hope that you would understand what it might be like to have someone, even a sister agency, walk into one of your meetings and say to you, we've got this grant, oh, by the way, can we funnel it through your organization? And we don't see a proposal, we don't see any specifications, we don't even see the grant application document, we don't see anything, we have no idea what you're getting into.
You know what, I absolutely agree with you 100%. Again, there's a process for it. I think we were planning to submit it, but it just, and we're still gonna move forward with it, to submit the paperwork that you were asking for. So that wasn't even a question. We were just at that meeting asking if it was a possibility. And we were gonna submit the paperwork according to your requirements, obviously. I don't question that at all. The problem arose is that I didn't know at the time that the Roosters needed to get it off their books and they wanted to disperse the money right away. So Greg got them to do that. So that's a good thing. But we were 100% going to submit the paperwork and a copy of the grant and any paperwork required by the ICL. That's not even a question.
It's the first grant I've ever gotten, so I was really happy that I got it. I had to talk him out of it for half an hour before the money went up. They said, first, one guy goes, $3,500. He goes, I was going to suggest you get $2,500. And I go, I wouldn't have come for $2,500. I give it myself.
Yeah.
So, we got 9,000 out of them, and they like us, and the other group really likes pre-K education, and they'll fund pre-K through 4th grade as kind of their focus. And so, I think we fit right in the way that they can give us money.
Is there a requirement for the spending of the money? What paperwork comes with it? Do you have it?
I don't have that yet, but they want it to be spent on the younger kids program, not after school so much. Although our after school kids at 4th grade, that would be a lot.
I wrote the grant and I'd be glad to bring a copy and show them.
Because would it be a public document?
So the grant goes towards programs and not,
No, it does. I did write in there some salaries. Yes.
Okay.
Because anything, 4th grade and under, we're pretty much golden for anything we need to spend it on. Kevin?
Yeah, just change the subject. It's about the same thing. Fundraisers, grants, compensating the Children's Center from their negative cash flow. There hasn't been any fundraiser since the chili cook-off for the Children's Center. Why wouldn't the director or the volunteers or somebody start another type of fundraiser activity for the Children's Center. There hasn't been one since the chili cook-off, and that was, I mean, that's almost half a year ago.
Yeah, that's not actually, so the next line on here was for Italian night that Michael Cipolla, who does some of our printing, he was singing. So the Children's Center people came and helped to talk to, or check people in and talk to people, and we did raise $450 for new signs, of which I paid with a credit card. So we have new signs coming with the $450.
The public never knew about to help out or anything.
To help out. Well, we're having another fundraiser. I'm happy that you mentioned that. And tomorrow night is the meeting. It's going to be a wine and dogs event in October. And Dennis McHale is heading that up. So if anybody would like to come to volunteer, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at the Children's Center, we're going to have a meeting to start that fundraiser.
Kevin, I mean, Lori's pretty much got her hands full trying to round up enough kids to make the program work and make it work, so she doesn't have a lot of free time.
Well, she has 27 kids full-time.
Or whatever number it
According
is.
to her math.
Yeah, thanks.
According to her math.
Okay. Anything else on that?
There is the Laura's House Hike and Hoedown, which the Children's Center will be having a petting zoo at, and we are also planning a wine dinner at the old Victor's, and the chili cook-off, which Shay and Lori and I met about today. We're going to start to kick off chili cook-off 2015.
So, the items you just mentioned, those are all fundraising events.
Right.
So to answer your question, Kevin, there is a list of fundraising events on the schedule.
And we'd be happy to have some volunteers, and if you'd like to come tomorrow night again, we'd welcome it.
I think what he's saying is he didn't hear anything about it. I didn't know anything about an Italian night.
Never heard of anything.
We're wondering
Well,
about it.
She actually sells it out to her own mailing list, so it never gets.
Okay, so it was a
never got
private
there.
fundraiser for the Children's Center then, right?
It wasn't for the Children's Center, but Michael donated his tips.
Oh,
his
okay.
pros-
Okay. He made a personal
appeal.
donation.
He made a personal appeal. Yeah.
Cool, thanks, Michael.
Yeah, so this
So it
is
wasn't
just
a
like
fundraiser.
individuals donating money.
So it wasn't a
not
fundraiser.
A fundraiser event.
It wasn't a fundraiser. And every,
I guess my point is, I was right, there's a
he
fundraiser.
picks a charity to donate, which is the money that he makes to the charity, to whoever. So he just picked the Children's Center.
And Michael's the one that, he's a broker for printing and.
I know Michael,
Yeah, he did
You
their.
know.
but it's not really a
Got his
fundraiser.
business.
It wasn't really a fundraiser.
No, it wasn't, but you
It
know
wasn't
what?
where the community gets to participate
You know
raiser.
what? The
If you've got
wine
an
and
idea, we
dine,
want you to do it. We need help. We aren't doing it on our own.
Oh, no, he's part of our.
I do enough.
SMRPD.
Greg, I probably do more than you.
okay, so the wine and dogs event coming up in October, we want you all there, because it's gonna be an SMRPD sponsored event, we hope. We're gonna ask for it for the Children's Center, 100%. So, and Dennis is running it, so please,
Is it wine and hot dogs or wine and
wine
bring your dog?
and actual dogs.
A
You
cow
get to
wow?
bring your dogs in costumes, you're gonna get prizes. Yeah, it's not hot dogs, it's wine and dogs.
Like a dog show or a.
Yeah, like a dog show, it's gonna be, we're thinking right around Halloween, and we're gonna have costumes, dogs in costumes, and we're gonna give prizes away. And I know, Kevin, you were there for the car show, and they said that we could pick a charity for the car show next year, so, you know, if you'd like to help me to pick this Children's Center as a charity, I'd love to help. 'Cause
It's
a
just, we
great
haven't
event.
heard anything, and this is the first we've heard about it, I've had to ask. So Tom, to answer you, no, there hasn't been any fundraisers, so I don't see how you can say that there is when you're just talking about it now.
She just
There
gave
is
you a
now.
list of.
Just now.
No, these have been on the agenda, on the report for the last two
I've never seen them on the agenda.
Really?
They've been on her report for the
Why?
last,
Whose report?
Lori's report.
She's never once
Oh,
mentioned
okay, well,
these,
we didn't.
ever.
Give her a report.
Plus, she doesn't need the community anyway.
Are those reports in the board packet? Maybe Shay, maybe your
Yeah,
comment
no,
now.
probably.
We, it's because we're doing children's center
Yeah.
report
Yeah.
right now. We met with Lori tonight, and, I do want to speak on Lori's behalf, and it was pretty heartfelt what she felt. She's not used to, being in the public realm, and she is used to running daycare programs and working with kids and parents, but not with communities. This is a whole new thing. There is a little bit of education about the process that probably would help. But she did feel she felt like she was kind of on the defense. I'm just speaking for Lori tonight. She felt like she came into the meeting kind of in a defensive mode, and then hearing some comments and also dealing with some comments made at her, she kind of bit at a little bit, and is hoping that that won't happen again. And I did try to encourage her to come and speak for herself tonight to you, but she wasn't feeling up to it, so I'm just saying.
So, some of the last comments she had on here, she'd like to talk about renegotiating the contract, her contract for facility and maintenance with the SMRPD regarding expenses that are traditionally paid for by the SMRPD. Safety concerns, the sidewalk needs to be grinded. She is in appeal on some of those licensing issues, and the appeal is still pending. They do have a scary night out, October 25th, and she wanted to invite the community. And she is looking for volunteers to assist with the street appeal project. And she wants anybody who's interested to contact the SCC by September 29th. And if anybody wants to see the project, it is up here. It has to do with the tires. And also a big thanks to Kelly and Charlie Roberts for their animal assistance at the time of the fire, and Mary Baldridge and family for animal care and assistance during the fires.
And there's something that should be in here is daily care and assistance of all the animals at the Children's Center. Jane Bowe, thank you so much.
And I think that concludes the Children's Center report.
Does that include item 3 under district business?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, Linda, maybe you could help Lori. I gave her an application for the fair, told her the booth for her would be free, and if she wants to run a
Yes.
raffle and make money,
Yes,
She's
she
a
is
table and
going to,
chairs.
she did talk to Shay and I about that.
We did talk tonight. She had a little bit of ideas that are kind of outside of what we probably would allow, because I explained to her that each entity, we only allow one entity to do particular things because it's a small space.
Right.
So visiting with the pets, I said probably wouldn't be good because we have a petting zoo and they're charging. And so I told her to talk to you about the ideas that she has and run them through you, and you need to give her the parameters of the space, because I don't think she's very aware of the space.
Actually, I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's only 10 by 10.
Because it is on here. The Silverado Country Fair, they'll be doing patriotic pallets, soda floats, and a 50-50 raffle. And she said that to take off the petting zoo because you already had a petting zoo, but she's gonna talk to you about that.
But yeah,
Their concept has to be
Approved.
approved by the committee.
Right.
yeah.
So
Everybody can't just do what they want.
come in and say, this is what I'm gonna do.
yeah,
and
she
that's
just, she
appropriate.
needs to send me in the application.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what she needs to do,
Someone
that's how
talked
it
about
starts.
having root beer floats, and so I don't know how that's working, like.
No one else is
Whoever-
wearing their floats that I know.
Okay, so whoever gets their foot in the door
Those are
first usually is who gets to do something, unless they're longtime pals of the fair, which we don't have longtime pals for root beer floats.
Okay, yeah, she said she was doing orange and root beer floats, so orange floats, orange cream or something.
At this point, no one else is, so
Okay.
she just needs to, if she just sends me in that application
Okay.
with all she wants to do, then I call her back and we work it all out. and-
Okay.
Yeah, that's
She
how.
said she's gonna contact you, so I will get her to give you updates.
She did
Yeah.
mention, I'm only gonna bring this up because time's short before the fair and you guys had a meeting last night. She did talk about instead of a gift, a prize raffle, to do a 50-50 raffle instead that only involves money. So the committee's gonna need to discuss that and get back with her on that, because that'll be totally different than any other year at the fair.
Yeah, that's right.
What about the bounce
Doesn't
house?
sound like a big deal.
That's us,
Oh,
that's us.
okay, I wasn't
that's
sure if the
fair
children's
committee.
center was gonna do the bounce house or not.
No, it doesn't work out.
Oh, okay.
No, they're understaffed already, so
Oh.
they can't commit.
I was gonna, I was gonna suggest for the fair, for the children's center, no one's doing baked potatoes this year. And I know Mick,
There are two possibles,
oh, Mick's gonna go back in?
either Mick or Patty.
Oh, okay, I thought that, no, Patty's
on
on.
Patty wanted to, she's just talking about it.
But that's a moneymaker.
Nick might come back.
I mean, more than a root beer float.
Yeah, it's gonna be out of baked potatoes.
It's really hot. Okay, good, that's awesome.
Yeah, because
I'm
Mick,
assuming
I
they're
thought he was
conditional
done.
on,
Yeah, but I
conditional
feel
to
better.
receipt of your grant. There's some kind of reporting requirement.
We have to tell them what we spent the money on at the end
Right,
of the year.
is that a formal
Very
report?
casual form.
Okay,
Yeah.
but someone's on top of that?
Yeah, and I'll hook Lori up with the guy who wants to report so he can tell her what he needs to see.
It occurs to me that they'll need that if they're gonna be approached next year.
And if we do it right, we may get more money next year,
And
yeah.
my second question, I apologize if I missed this, but I believe it was at the July meeting. There was a fairly rosy picture painted by the lobbyists for increased engagement with other community groups and programs on behalf of the SCC. Is it okay to ask about what happened with those, or would someone care to offer an analysis? There was something about a 4-H club, there was an equestrian program, there were 3 or 4 programs, and I'm wondering, is that information somewhere on, in terms of enrollment and revenue?
I can answer some of those. We had an agreement with Marissa, and I can't remember the name of her program,
At the
at the
Horse camp.
at the horse camp. And it actually, when I looked at it, it actually broke even. It would have lost money if we didn't have Kelly on salary, so it was not a moneymaker for her. The reason why it did lose money is because our initial agreement, they weren't gonna charge us for use of the stables, they were gonna donate it, but then they ended up charging us for everything. So, it did break even, so we did not make money on the horse program. We probably won't do that again, and we're asking if we can get the horse area and a horse donated, and they're working with somebody from across the street. If they don't do that, I'm willing to donate my property and the horse, that they can use it free of charge.
I'm sorry, I don't know who Marissa is.
Marissa
How much
is-
how much did Marissa make off the deal?
Marissa didn't make anything, but she had to pay her students, and it was, I think, $25 a day for her student. to
She's a
help
horse
them with
trainer
the
at
program.
Cloverdale.
I'm sorry, I don't know this, so I'm just asking.
Yeah, no,
So,
no
so,
problem.
so you were offered as a kind of program for summer equestrian, if that's what it's called?
They were offered a certain rate, and when they got the bill, it was more. Because Greg and I had originally contacted them, and they had made an arrangement with Lori. The first summer camp was the right price.
So
And-
it's not too, I want to say this politely, it's not too out of the realm to point out that the horse people made money off the deal. Marissa et al.
Did she make money?
Well-
Marissa didn't make any money.
Well then, so they donated services.
They donated some service, my understanding is they donated some services, but Marissa had to pay some of the people that were there, and that's what ate up the profits.
And we had already advertised the camp according to the initial price that they gave us, but because her expenses went up, she passed them through to us. So basically, the program broke even. We did not make money on it.
Let me rephrase. The only money that came out of it was to Marissa.
Or to Marissa's workers
Yes.
who had to work it.
Okay. So my point is that a public agency, children's center, benefited a local business because they were able to employ their horse trainers. Sorry, I'm not a horsey person, but there it is.
Right, so our kids went to a horsey summer camp
Uh-huh.
and paid tuition.
Just like we would go to Knott's Berry Farm or pay Joel to do a
Well, actually,
hike, I'm not sure what you're
actually,
getting at.
only a small fraction of kids joined up for the horse camp, and when we went on field trips, the van was full, and sometimes two vans, or a van and a teacher's car, so it's not fair to say that it's just the same as taking them on a field trip, because we made money on the field trips, most of them, except for very few, and this was a very small attendance little camp.
What was the number?
Wasn't it like 6 or 8?
All
Something
summer,
like that.
maybe it was 2 kids the first time, and I believe 4 kids the second camp.
Okay, and what about the 4-H club?
The 4-H, they're still working on it.
And the other programs that were mentioned?
Which other program?
Again,
Oh,
I
the education
apologize.
celebration.
The education celebration
Homeschool.
is the homeschool
So
program.
there were, the July meeting, those were the 3 programs that were offered by way of revitalizing both revitalizing the program and possibly engaging more student enrollment.
And we did, that's the contract that we were just talking about.
So just to be clear, a contract with a homeschooling organization, nothing on the 4-H, which I confess I don't know what 4-H is, some kind of agricultural pedagogy.
You're a city boy,
aren't you?
Animal husbandry.
I know when I step in it though. And a Go Nowhere equestrian program that.
It's their first effort.
Okay.
I have to mention though, because I'm talking right now to a parent that is a long-time supporter of the Children's Center and paying the bills of the Children's Center by keeping his child enrolled, Andrew Tonkovich, who always came back from vacations and put his son into our summer camp program to go on all the field trips. I made a little sheet of the field trips that we've done over the years that were successful. And I gave it to Laura. I spent a couple days working on it, and I gave it to her way prior to summer camp to implement into her summer program and the calendar. And then when my mom had the stroke, I had been gone. I did not know until the middle of the summer that none of them were implemented into the program, and that these new programs that had never been done before took place, that were established, that did make money. So it was kind of frustrating to me.
Well, she had 40 kids enrolled in the summer program, so I don't think that all of the programs were a bust. Yeah, I mean, 40 kids, total enrolled kids in the program, that seems to me like,
There should be money in their bank account.
yeah, that's why
Why isn't
I think that's why we did pretty good.
Well, my point is that in the summertime, when the kids of the canyon want to get out of here and go do things, and it's exploration time, it's a real valuable thing to do the field trips, get them out of here. They also sign up when they would normally maybe not even go to the Children's Center that day. They sign up to go on that trip. Children's Center makes more money than they would normally do just running a program, come in and splash in the water on the slide or mud or whatever. It worked in the summer, and it paid the bills for part of the year by having the summer camp with field trip program.
So in Lori's defense, she didn't actually get hired until sometime in March. And so she had 3 months or less to pull this together. And the people here in the canyon had helped her historically in the past weren't there to help her do
Right.
anything. So she was kind of trying to reinvent
But
from
she
ground
had
zero.
That's not true.
Well,
People
I
were
think it's
trying to
true.
help her and she was standoffish to a lot of people that were trying to
Just
help.
for the record, you don't need to
Because of
defend
people
her
that
because
were
of me.
helping her.
I wasn't attacking her. I was just asking because you had mentioned earlier her problematic relationship to, I gather, the board or certain members of the community, and it's my observation that she's being asked to do quite a lot.
She is, and she's done quite a lot. I mean, if we look at the center today, I mean, just in the last month, Shay, when I was there,
Beautiful down there.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, really
And she's
nice.
She really had to do a lot of work.
Mhm.
Well,
I just wanted to pass on something. I have quite a bit of familiarity with summer programs at the Children's Center, and they have, for the most part, been profitable enterprises. And I'm hearing a rosy report of it now, and it's not a rosy situation when you pay out $5,000 one month, $7,000 another month. That's not being profitable. There's a divide here I don't understand.
it hasn't become profitable yet. We're still in the negative, and we
So
still
40
need.
people, or 50, or 60, it still costs $12,000 for a couple of months. Okay.
Great, so move on to the next item. If you're doing it for now.
Yeah, really.
Okay, Facebook social media discussion.
Okay.
Who wants to start?
Okay, so there was some discussion on social media. There was some emails going back and forth. We were looking for a memorandum from Betsy.
Which is an attorney-client privilege memorandum, and it's never been released by the public.
No, this is not. This is the only memorandum
Oh,
Betsy
yeah.
could find.
Okay. Sorry,
And then it's not attorney-client privilege.
no, that's a different, I'm sorry.
So it's to you, Greg, so I'll have you read it. And then I'll propose the social media policy.
Okay, so we had an issue a while ago where Lori asked to have we've got 2 issues up right now. Lori asked to have the Facebook page taken down for the SCC, which Shay finally took down for her. And so that's one issue. And the other is somebody asked who in the community is allowed to post on the SMRPD Facebook page.
And there was one other issue. I think Lisa asked a question in regards to, was she named in this memo, which she is not.
Well, there was a letter that went out from Shay to the public saying some pretty damaging things that were contained in this letter about me. And so that's what I wanted to
You're not even mentioned.
see what it
This
talked
has
about in
not,
this letter.
are you talking about the website like a year ago?
You said the attorney's memorandum to the board months ago is one of the several reasons why the board should distance itself. Continued discrimination of members of the public are valid reasons as well. The constant posts from Lisa are appearing as a campaign platform, which is against government code and ethics. So I want to know, that's what I was asking, where's the letter that says these things about me that would make the board distance themselves from me?
You didn't say the letter said anything about
And
it.
I explained where that memorandum is.
There is none. I've asked Betsy, and there's only one memorandum related to Facebook. The other memorandum that is attorney-client privilege does not say that at all. So, and we're going to probably ask for a closed session to talk about that
We'll have to do that at
at another meeting. So the question then became, really, Lisa Alvarez posed a question as to, do we need a how are we bound by our policy on social media? So I did call Capri, and we are not required to have a policy on social media. However, we think it's a good idea, and they said maybe it would be coming at some point in time. So I have a proposal, and I can pass it around, for SMRPD policy, social media policy, acceptable use. And I'll pass it around, and I can ask for it to be passed. If we can read it, everybody can read it silently.
Before we get there, let me give you a little more background. Lisa Alvarez asked, why was Lisa Collins being allowed to post anything on our SMRPD website? And as I have stated to everybody who will listen since I got on the board, all volunteers' work is welcome here. Equally. I don't care. If you like the people or you don't like the people, the final product is what matters. So the postings, and I get, because I'm an administrator, I see every posting that comes by. And so I wasn't quite sure where she was going because all of them were like, we're having this event, we're having that event, come to this. That is what I was seeing.
Well, and we did print them out, and there was some question as to how many, right? And then,
Right. Well, yeah, so part of Lisa's...
Sorry, Greg, did Lisa Alvarez mention anybody in particular?
No, she
So,
didn't. This
so,
is not
I'm sorry.
correct.
This is another, so please, that's
That
bullshit.
was not correct.
You can't say that. Please retract what you just said.
I retract what I just said.
Thank you.
What Lisa said, I didn't print it out to bring it with me.
I
was-
have it. I wrote it.
It was pointedly pointed at me, whether she said Lisa Collins or not,
That
it was
doesn't
every
matter.
response under every post
Sorry,
that I wrote.
sorry,
No.
not the case.
No, it's
Not
certainly
the
wasn't
case.
How did you say it's not the case
Act-
when she
Lisa,
posted under
stop,
every
Lisa.
post?
Okay, okay.
We only talk one at a time and you address the board.
Thank you.
She asked repeatedly on the post, who's responsible for this post? Who's responsible for this post? Who's responsible for this post? And then she sent a letter to the board asking who's responsible for the post on the Facebook page. And Greg responded, Ron takes care of all media stuff. And so she went to Ron, and Ron said, I don't ever go there. I don't even know if it's possible to know. That's what the email said. And then I printed out, this is who the administrators and the duties are on the public Facebook page. Of course, you gotta understand Facebook. Anybody who creates a page, they're responsible for it because it comes under their Facebook. So even though it's an agency Facebook page, Ron created it, a couple years ago from his Facebook, and he made an SMRPD agency page. Well, I did the same thing with the Silverado Children's Center because Amy wasn't working on one and it wasn't set up right. I made a new one, but the only people that were on it to post were employees of the Children's Center.
That's not true. I got a post from Jenny after she was let go that she was allowed to post on there.
Okay,
Wait, no.
so,
No, I took her
all
out
right,
as soon as
so
she
the
was
question
terminated.
is this, somebody from the public, Lisa Alvarez, posed these questions. Do these candidates have the same access to the same resources, whoever's posting? Can these candidates also act in the same way? You can't see who's posting these things, doesn't have the poster's name on the post. Are they being treated equally by the duly elected appointed board members? Do you see the possible conflict here? I look forward to your response. And then we ask if there is a problem. And she says, no, there is no issue. I was curious which of the directors was doing the posting on the site. So I did talk to Betsy about it. We did go over it. She doesn't see any conflict of interest and she doesn't see any problems. We did go over the posting. What? I'm not done.
Conflict of interest of what sort?
Conflict of interest on the posts on Facebook, as in regards to the people that are authorized to post on it
Well,
right
it's
now.
not just posting, there's different statuses.
She didn't see any problem with that either.
And
as
there
long
are
as-
3 now, there used to be 2, Ron and Greg were administrators of it, and Lisa, myself, and Tom and Joel then was added as content creators. And then all of a sudden, right around the time of the people signing up to run for SMRPD, Lisa was no longer just a content creator, she was one of the admins with Greg and Ron. Somebody had to elevate her to that status. That was the letter that I sent to Betsy.
So is Betsy's estimate priority? You can't see that she's posting any of these things. In 2014, Lisa Collins posted 26 events. In 2013, she posted 46 events. So she isn't posting any more. And Betsy and I looked through these, and there isn't anything related to campaigning or any of her own use or anything that would indicate that she's doing anything. They're just public information or public events.
Now, I'm just catching up on this, but I think the point here is who's listed as administrators.
That is my point. Thank you.
Okay. So I don't think it has anything
and I'm
to
on
do
the
with
board.
who's posting stuff. I think the
We can all
issue is who's listed as administrator.
Whoever Ron, because he is the SMRPD person who provides the oversight for all of the social media. It's whoever he's designated.
Okay, so it changed. It changed from blah, 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 blah to now somebody different.
I think you're gonna ask Ron about that, because from when I access the site, it doesn't look any different to me. So if something was changed, I'm not aware of it.
And I
You
don't
can
know.
go into who's admin, and especially if you are an admin and you can see. And you did have a picture on there and now all of a sudden you don't have a picture on there. And
Because I closed my Facebook page and my next door neighbor, which I explained
I
to
don't
you, that's
think-
why there's not a picture there.
Yeah, I don't think Ron changed anything in the last year. So,
actually, somebody had to elevate and to make someone else that wasn't an admin. And I know I have multiple Facebook pages,
Okay,
and I
so
can
let's
make
get-
someone an admin.
okay,
Let's get
so,
You know,
on to
and,
the
and if,
question.
if Ron were here, we might be able to ask him, but it's loud.
Yeah, so
He's
let's
not
get down,
here.
let's get down to.
but you know what, it really, in essence, that doesn't matter, because Betsy didn't see any problem with it, she didn't see any conflict of interest in it. So to answer Lisa's question, a question from the public, Lisa Alvarez, there's no conflict of interest, we do not need an oversight policy, I called Capri, we do not need a social media policy, it's not a requirement of Capri. However,
Capri sells insurance.
however,
Policy.
it's our risk manager, and it's not a requirement. However, I thought it was a good idea, so I did create a social media policy acceptable use. I'm handing it out to the public, so you can all see it, you can read it, and we can vote on it. And I would like input from the public, so, Brett.
Well, I guess my question is, and I know I'm a blunt talker and people don't like the way I talk, so I'm probably gonna offend somebody, or more than one. When Lisa was on the board, and she quit, right? She quit.
She resigned from the board.
She
yes.
resigned from the board. By request, I believe, from the president,
No,
you had asked her to,
no.
No,
no?
she resigned herself for
And
personal reasons.
why did she resign?
For personal reasons.
It wasn't that she was
that's
a
not right.
liability to the board when she was accusing Judy? And that
No,
whole thing came down
that's-
with Judy, the whole thing came down with Judy.
Okay.
The
That's
board,
And
not what
then,
this
wait,
is.
I'm talking,
No,
let me
this is
finish.
about-
You can respond to me after I say this. The way
No,
I
we're not
saw it
talking about
was,
that. We're talking
that-
about the social media policy.
but this is
I'd like
gonna
to
come back to
contract-
that, that is gonna come back to that. And so she quit because of her liability to the board
No, that's
when
not.
she attacked Judy Bruno.
That's
No,
not
she
what
quit for
Greg-
personal
And this is the
reasons.
way I see it, and you can respond after I say this. The way I see it, and it's my opinion, that Lisa quit, and she had some requests from the board, because someone said that to me, but he's not saying it now.
He said it to me too.
He said it to you. And so this whole thing was ask Lisa to step down off the board, because she was a liability, and this is just my opinion, I could be totally wrong.
Okay, can you get to the point, please?
And so, with that in hand, knowing that she was a liability to the board, why would you have her involved in board functions, you know, and things going on with the board when she was once a liability? She quit, and then you had let her go into our personnel files after that. And all these things that come around where she was doing things she shouldn't have been doing with no ethics. And this ethic issue is huge. And to allow her to do things on the board, on our Facebook, she was.
Because it's on video,
You know
he's
what?
grandstanding, and it's a lie.
Unsupervised.
This is not a lie.
This is a lie. It's a
Did you go
lie.
into the personnel
No,
file?
we did not.
Come on, bring it back to the
Okay.
point.
So that's
First
why
of all-
Greg had a letter from.
Okay.
You know,
Read
this
the
is
letter, where's the letter?
bullshit.
Read the letter then.
Anyways,
It's being
she became a
suppressed.
liability, and you guys are allowing her to still work for you because she's going to give you free help.
You know what?
Excuse
First
me,
of all-
excuse me. Shay, you just said something's being suppressed. Would you like to expand on
The,
that?
the memorandum from the attorney that you guys are saying is confidential was brought forward in a public meeting, laid on the table, pieces of it discussed in a public meeting, and then you stated, and it was in the minutes, that it's gonna be on the Dropbox. When I ran into that and I checked the Dropbox, it wasn't there. So I asked Betsy, and I was waiting for a response. Is it public document or is it not? I don't have a problem if it's not a public document, but I don't know how you can take a confidential attorney privilege letter then, that you're saying it is now, and bring it into a public meeting. I don't get it.
Did you see that memorandum? Did you get a copy of that?
I have it,
You have it.
yeah,
So I asked you to bring, you have it with
I
you?
have it,
Okay,
So then you have it.
yeah.
okay, so this
Yes.
memorandum that she's talking about, and I thought we were gonna be able to put it on Dropbox. I called Betsy and she said, well, did your board vote to dispense with the attorney-client privilege? And I said, no, what's that? That's why it never went on Dropbox. It's still considered attorney-client privilege and nothing in there can be released.
But when it was
I
on
have
the
been
table.
warned about using such a document in a public meeting, compromising it by Betsy.
Yeah, I told Betsy what's gone on, and she said, she said you cannot give it out unless the entire board votes to to remove it and to make it public. And the board has not done that, so that's why it never went out. It's never been it is still a attorney-client privilege letter.
I respect that so long as that's legal.
Well,
Yeah.
once you
It is.
expose something to the public, you waive your attorney-client privilege, then
Well,
it's
not
done.
according to Betsy.
No, once it's open, it's
No.
open. You
No.
can't close it again.
No, nothing in the letter was disclosed to the public, and Betsy said it's still an attorney-client privilege.
Apparently, some things were disclosed.
I don't think,
They
it
were
was,
using
go and
me
look
to
on,
discuss the topics.
go and look on it. There was not a discussion of the actual contents of the letter.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, so she just implied that there was not a discussion where anything in that letter was disclosed.
No, I said the letter was brought forth and
There are
and handed
letters,
out.
and everybody doesn't get to see them. That's what attorney-client privilege is. And if anybody's seen that letter and broken the attorney-client privilege, somebody's in trouble.
Well, there is another regulation, and I'll stop right here because I don't know the answer to this, but when you use the document at that table, the members of the public have a right to request a copy.
I asked Betsy about that. I said, well, what about this? And she said, not for attorney-client privilege letters. Almost everything else is open to a public records request.
Yeah.
That would mean then, whatever I have in my pocket, or whatever I have in my
It's
folder,
out on the table.
whatever I have in my folder that sits on the table, she said, no, it's not. Because I knew, because you had mentioned that in the past, and I asked her about it. She said, no.
Yeah, we addressed that with her.
Yep, I got different advice, but okay.
Okay, so we're back to, so here's my thought. I don't care who wants to post. If you have something to post that's SMRPD business, you're welcome. Because first, I don't know how to do it. And I don't have time to learn how to do it, and I'm not gonna. So when a volunteer comes, we love what you do. Come and help us. Lisa's the only one that's volunteered. Joel hasn't posted for a year. Shay's posted a few things along the way.
I posted until my mom had a stroke, but does anybody have a problem with someone having admin status
Yes.
over another board director and the
Yes.
ability to remove that board director
Yes.
from the Facebook page? I do.
I do.
I have a problem.
It should be a board.
I'm gonna
I
remove a
didn't,
board member?
I said the power
No,
to.
she's not saying you, she said that
Powers,
an
I'm talking
admin
about
can do that.
powers of the board
Right.
are divvied out and then given to members of the public, and certain board members, especially the
Okay,
elected ones.
I have a
is-
problem with it, Shay. I
is-
have a problem with it. And that's why I wrote this policy.
Okay, then let's get on with it.
So, I have a problem with it. So here you
She's
go.
not right.
That's why the policy's here.
Thank you.
That's a lot of it.
doesn't address it.
Oh, Bill?
You know, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm probably just missing something, but just as a matter of common sense, and I know you guys are big on volunteers and everything, but this is a public face of the SMRPD. You guys had a media policy, right? I mean, it seems just as at the face of it, it would seem obvious that only the board and staff, paid staff perhaps, would be able to get in there and do this. It just seems very clear to me and not even arguable. Am I missing something?
Well, yes, you are, because let me say, she said how many
Wait,
classes
wait,
that I posted. I'm sorry, Shay's posted 3, 4, 5, 7 things since she's been on the board in 2014. Ron's not posting, Greg's not posting, Linda's not posting. If that wasn't posted, the SMRPD
That's
Facebook.
not
No,
accurate.
no, wait, stop.
No, really?
She's
I
talking.
posted every time you posted something here, so I know how many posts you've had. If I wasn't posting events that were happening in our canyon, whether it's Majeska Nights, the Silverado, the Fire Safe Council, there would be nothing on the Facebook page. And all it is events. And the fact that you guys don't like it is a personal attack, not about really what's going on
Yeah,
here.
we have a problem with it. I just got done stating that.
Excuse me, stop. Okay, so, what did I tell you? All the posts come and I see them all come. If there's something weird, we take it off. There's this person, Joe Peterson, keeps posting this weird stuff, so I actually had to go to his Facebook page, which I was surprised I could get to. And he lives down in Mission Viejo or someplace, and he just has all this random stuff. So if I could figure out how to block him, I wouldn't let him post ever again. But I'm watching the stuff that's coming through, and everything that Lisa has posted is just announcements. This is happening, that's happening, that's happening. All of the rest of you, Phil,
And we're
Deborah.
thankful
Yeah,
for that.
but that's not the point.
No, I'm not done yet.
No.
Phil and Deborah, you guys, anybody that wants to can post.
Yeah.
You can post.
But that's not good either.
No, that's because,
I mean,
because
that's
we're
not good
watching.
either, because this is your
We have-
face, this is your media face.
Well,
You
No,
you
we
guys
have
alone should be
oversight.
doing that.
Appointees will appoint.
I'm
you know.
doing it, that's why I'm doing the oversight on it. Now,
Well-
wait, and what did the attorney say? The attorney said that anybody can post, you just have to kind of have an oversight. Now, I'm not saying that I love the way it is. I'll accept anybody that wants. If we want to make all of us be administrators, I'm good with that. I don't care what we do.
That
But-
was my letter to the attorney was admin status. If you understand Facebook, anybody
Anybody
can post
can
on the
post.
page and everybody that's liked the page gets the post. It's representing the district, and when you post it, it comes through as representing the district if you're an admin.
And did I represent the district
And
in
not mine,
any
when
other
I
way other
post,
than
it says Shay
positive?
Peterson says
Yeah.
blah blah.
Did I represent the district in a poor light on any
It
post?
wasn't my
That-
issue.
that's not good.
It
My
is the
issue wasn't content, it was admin status over park board directors, and especially in light of other
Okay,
additional reasons.
I think we
And I'd like to see
addressed
those
that in
reasons.
here.
You need to show those reasons.
They're
if you're
on
gonna stake
video.
us up.
They're on video.
Okay,
It's okay, if people don't like Lisa, I get it. I try to treat everybody fairly. I don't love everybody that comes to these rooms either. I don't. I mean, some of you are just like drive me nuts.
What do you mean, Greg?
we already.
And you're running again.
But I'm treating everybody the same.
Is that in your campaign
Funny
speech?
looking gray beards. Okay, but so we need to get to the policy, decide how far we're gonna get on it today. We're gonna vote today, we're not gonna vote today. Andrew's first.
I'm a
Can you
little,
keep it brief and to the point where we're talking about this?
Oh, it's on this, and I can't promise brevity, but the first thing is, I'm confused, Greg, about your lack of engagement with terms of art. It's not about volunteers, it's about exactly what Shay mentioned. How was the decision made vis-a-vis administrator or administrative status on the Facebook page?
If I didn't do it, so Ron must have done it.
We'll ask Ron and we'll have that answer next meeting.
And frankly, it's a rhetorical question. You lack a policy for this.
Right?
And
Look at, what is it? It's a policy.
this is a proposed policy.
Here we are.
This is a proposed policy.
This
Can
doesn't
I finish,
address the
please?
Trump
problem.
doesn't have a lot of policies that would be nice if we had. If you would really like to look at some and write them, I keep
Please,
asking her
please
to
stop,
write them, and
please
she-
stop, please stop inviting me to do your job.
It's the policy.
Please
committee's
stop
job.
doing that. Ron Shepston apparently gave administrative status to people. That's what I'm guessing. Why? What were the criteria? Either before or this is either a serious governmental body which has
He needs help coming to a meeting.
which has responsibilities to us, the community, by elected officials, or it's the Boy Scouts or something. So please make up your mind, and let me finish, please. You need to go back and talk to your attorney again and to your insurance company. Respectively, the road to hell is paved with opinions from counselors. If somebody in this community decides to go after you folks with a FOIA request, or finds another attorney who's willing to represent a picture which sounds like the following, that a former resigned elected official with no longer any authority vis-a-vis the board still gets to administer the Facebook page as a platform, as a way of representing their engagement with issues, then the logic is, I guess all the candidates and all of you should also be administrators. Do you understand the question?
Yeah, but do you understand that there's nothing on the Facebook page that says who posts that information? So whatever.
Are there administrators who have more authority and access than other people who are only friends or followers of Facebook? Is there a difference? Okay? You told me a minute ago you didn't know. Is there a difference between an administrator and just a random poster?
We have administrators, we have editors, and then there's, as far as I understand,
Great.
random posters.
And who are the current administrators?
It's myself, Ron, and Lisa.
Why is Lisa Collins, for instance, an administrator?
Because she helps
And
us.
can I finish?
You're gonna go on forever. I'd like to get out of here sometime.
Well, leave. Leave. Go ahead and leave.
Because it's a personal attack.
Take it outside.
Why am I not, or why is anybody else in
You can
here
be.
not an administrator?
Yes, you can be.
No,
I
he's talking
invite
about-
No, to this
So
point,
everybody's an
to this point,
because.
how did it happen? How did it happen
Okay, then
that Ron
probably
Shepston
because
and
she
the
was
current
never
president,
taken off.
thank you,
Probably because
Thank
she
you.
was not taken off.
So would you concede-
Because she
would you concede that she's the only non-elected director of the current board,
Not by design.
can I finish please, who has special privileges?
Joel does.
Would you concede that?
No,
No,
Joel
he's an
does.
editor.
no. Yeah,
He's an
Joel has
editor with
special
me.
privileges.
He's not an admin.
But he
He's
has
represented district on his post.
Linda, please.
Neither do I.
Is he an administrator? Joel?
No.
No.
One more time. Who are the administrators?
We
I
already
think
told
Greg
you
just told
that.
you that.
And they're the elected members of the directors of this board. With
They
one,
can be.
with one glaring exception. A candidate for the position who resigned any privilege to
I don't
be
think
an
that's glaring,
administrator.
Andrew. I think your point is not being made up accurately. There's no platform. She's not taking any
No, no,
platform.
content,
It
content,
doesn't matter,
What
Brittany, it
doesn't
doesn't
matter?
matter.
content is not the issue.
That's not the issue.
No doubt anyone could
And
put
that's
on,
why we're putting the policy in place.
okay,
There's no policy.
which leads to my second
doesn't
question.
address
Problem.
it.
It doesn't address the
It
problem.
says nothing about administrators and editors.
What is the template for this document, and did your legal counsel read this document?
Is your action gonna be to take her off of administration?
I'm good with that.
Is your action gonna be that?
I'm good with taking everybody off and only making the board of
That
directors.
would,
be-
that
Here,
would
here.
make it in a public
Now,
house.
okay, let's go farther than that. My thought originally was that, you know, she'll hate me for saying this, that Bev should be the administrator. And everybody else is an editor, because then we have one person who's in charge, who's responsible officially for the job. She can assign other people to do it, and she's our staff person.
But
I know it might, I mean, but you'll learn, but I have,
But you don't want it. But it's not okay for you to learn.
before you go further, Bev doesn't have to, okay, because I made it, and it's a Friends of Bev Milo.
Bev, now's the time to ask.
Let's call Bev.
we're not gonna finish this policy tonight. We wanna add the
No.
part about who's gonna be administrators to it.
Well, it says that in here, that
Oh, I'm sorry.
well, if everybody read it, it said that the SMRPD representative who has oversight will designate the responsibilities, be it an administrator, editor, or a customer. Yes.
That's-
Okay,
But that's not good.
we have a policy committee. So
And
this
this
should be
is the
go,
first draft of a policy that will be going to the policy committee.
okay, that's fine, but you just said earlier that we.
You said you were gonna vote on it.
No,
Say
I
you
said
might vote on it
possible
tonight.
vote, because I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell you
okay.
why.
That's
I'm gonna
where I
tell
am.
you why we wrote possible vote on there. Okay, I'll be with you in a minute. Because if we have a policy committee meeting, we have to have a special meeting to talk about.
No, you don't.
Because,
Brett?
Brett, excuse me, I'm
Then it's not
talking.
a committee meeting.
Because Ron is the social media representative or oversight person for the board. I wrote the policy. That means two of us will want to be there. That means Shay is also on the policy committee. We'll put 3 board members at a committee meeting. We'll have to have a special meeting anyway. So I just thought, if we could get through this, if we could for once agree on something, which we can't, then we'll just call a special meeting. It's not a problem with me. Answer.
And I'll repeat my question. Is this document informed by your research into any other similar documents?
I'm sorry?
Is this was this based on a template by some other governmental
Yes, it is.
agency? It is. Which?
It is the County of Orange.
This is based on the County of Orange's administration of its Facebook page?
Social and media policy except for use policy.
Great, thank you. Number 2, did your council look at this document?
This is a draft.
I'm sorry, I just asked. Did your council look at this document?
I don't know if she actually got it on yet, but it has been submitted to her, yes.
Okay, so I should have phrased my question better. Did she respond or comment to this
No,
document?
she did not respond.
Thank you. And to what other governmental institution beyond the county, perhaps a more comparable organization, would you like your document to be favorably compared?
Really, Andrew, we're
Really?
moving on. I'm sorry.
Really.
Wendy,
What, the question's too hard?
Wendy,
What other recreation and parks district has already done this, so you don't have to redo the whole wheel?
Because it's not, Capri said they do not have another
Capri is the
document to
insurance.
share with us, because it's not a required document
No.
under Capri.
I'm just asking, wouldn't it be good for this committee to look around at other recreation and parks district or other governmental or quasi-governmental agencies?
great
Small,
idea. Thank you.
Yes, if you'd like to come to the policy committee, we'd be glad to have you.
Let's move on.
So,
Yeah.
we're gonna refer this to policy,
Mhm.
and if the third director wants to come, you have to notify the committee.
Yeah, is it gonna be a committee meeting or is it gonna be a special meeting?
Oh, please, stop. We know exactly your point, we understand your point.
Well,
You
it's so
apparently don't
confusing.
understand that
It's
if
so
the third director
confusing.
wants to go to any meeting, that they are allowed to do that.
They can go if they sit and don't talk.
No, actually, the clerk of the board told us that they would rather that we didn't do that. They don't go in the meeting unless, they don't go in the room unless it's become a special meeting. She said they
Exactly.
create problems.
Exactly.
If they want to go to the meeting, which is their right as a citizen of the United States,
Right.
they get to go to the meeting and they go as a director and it becomes a special meeting. How hard is that to understand?
But maybe Shay will not want to go to the meeting.
I guess what my.
And so we'll have two
I've
of
had
us.
enough.
Oh,
We gotta
I
move
did,
on.
I'm the public, you just say I can't talk?
Yes, yeah, you can't talk.
It's not a public.
It's not a public comment at this point, Brad. Okay, so it's
So
going
why
to-
have a
It's going to the policy
committee if you don't use it as a committee and you just have special meetings every time? That's my
Because we
point.
can do that if we want.
Okay.
And that's the answer I've been giving you for 4 months now, so I
No.
please would ask you to not ask the question again.
Well, the last
I'm
policy,
sorry, that's
the
what I'm
last
asking.
policy
We've had
meeting,
enough,
Greg,
Brad. Brad, we've had
Tom
enough.
showed up
Please
and then
stop.
there was 3 directors when it was a committee
Okay,
meeting.
next subject.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wait, I want to make one comment, and I think it's something that people forget. And it sounds great to have a special meeting because then what was a policy and a little more informal gets to have another board director, but there is a quorum there. That meeting now has the power to create policy right then and there. And the idea of the committee is to work out the nuts and bolts and
Yeah.
to present it to the board for a vote, and it's a finished product.
Okay, so what we've
No,
noticed.
wait. There's one more issue that everybody forgets. You say, oh, I might want to go to that meeting, so make it a special meeting. So then you go through all of the hassle of getting everybody to make their schedule, and 2 board directors show up. You don't have a quorum now all of a sudden for what could have been a committee meeting and got some work done, and the meeting dies. There will be no meeting without a quorum once it's a special meeting. So that needs to be taken into consideration, and I think people keep forgetting that aspect. I believe in committee meetings, doing the work of the committees, and why we've had committees for, how old is this board?
This
As old as
country,
me, 53 years.
this
Committees.
country has
and I
been
think we
founded
should
on
use
it.
let's move on.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So you guys address the issue in the policy. If another board of the directors wants to go, you have to notify them. You don't go to the meeting, I get to go in. You screw the meeting up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, well, I'm sorry, I want to go back to one thing on that. If we're going to do this, then the Silverado Children's Center is a portion is underneath this board, and you're going to need to do the same thing with your Silverado Children's Center Facebook.
She asked me to take it down. I deleted it. She said,
No, that's
and then
not
you
what you
said,
said.
take it down right now. This is an order of the president.
You said you were going to put it into suspended hibernation, and it's still there, because we didn't want to lose the contacts until we figured out how Lori was going to be able to use it down the road.
And if what she's gonna have to do is, because it's attached to me.
Nope, but we're not, no, we're gonna do the same thing to it that we did with, that we're gonna do with this one. It's gonna go to all of us. I assume that the policy will be, we'll all be the
Administrators for both, yeah.
for both.
Because I think we do need a Facebook for the Children's Center, but,
There is one.
yeah.
Well, there was,
She doesn't believe, she doesn't want
there was,
It doesn't-
she doesn't like social media and interaction and all of that.
Well, that
So
doesn't mean,
it
that
did-
doesn't mean that we're not, well, we
That's
have
a
to make
question, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
I-
that we should do it one way or another, I'm raising the issue. Linda?
How much is the rent that SCC pays the board, pays SMRPD?
A zero effectively.
Zero.
Okay, so there's your answer.
Right. Exactly.
Well, yeah, I don't know that I 100% agree. I see your point, though.
Well, so there is no rent, so there's no
All there
there
is
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 no
blank check.
obligation that you provide anything. The understanding was from the very beginning,
So
it would be
literally,
self-supporting, self-sufficient, and take care of this themselves.
Well, I'm wondering if we have an obligation under our agreement to the county to do maintenance, and I
Yes.
think it is in there.
If there is a maintenance requirement as
Right.
part of the
Right.
agreement with the county,
Yes.
so theoretically, those costs should be passed on to to SCC.
Well, and then there's my
And
point.
that is why you are running at a deficit and why you're keeping the deficit on the books rather than writing it off.
And there's my point, we don't have a contract with them. So they're saying, well, this is not our building, we should really pay the deferred maintenance over the last 10 years.
Well, that's crazy.
So,
That's
Question.
insane.
Well,
question that comes up.
is it insane?
Because nobody in their right mind would expect to get free use of a building without having some obligation for taking care of it.
Running a profitable business.
but we're a public parks district.
They have the right to bill for their services. They have total control of that facility. They say who can come and go.
They accept students, they can reject students, they set tuition levels, they collect tuition, they hire people, they make a profit or they don't make a profit. It is their responsibility, period.
I agree, but nothing has been done for 10 years, so do we,
Well,
we should,
nothing's been done for 10
do
years,
we
so we
put
can
a
take
contract
that.
in place to make sure that that happens in the future?
You could, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
I think that at this point, we need to make that decision because the right things aren't in place because it didn't happen in the last 10 years. And we just did 10 years of deferred maintenance in the
That's
last
not
year.
true.
But who's gonna sign
What's
the
not
contract?
true
I
about
think that
what-
is
10
true.
years of deferred maintenance.
There's been maintenance on the
If
building.
Yeah, there has been a lot of
Really?
volunteer maintenance.
Oh,
Bob's
yeah,
next.
I'm surprised.
The Children's Center is an enterprise fund. It is owned lock, stock, and barrel
I
by
understand.
SMRPD.
Right.
You don't make set it up in an enterprise fund so you can keep track of whether it's paying for itself or not. That's the reason to keep all the expenses there. All you're doing otherwise is cooking the books. If you're doing it openly, I've got to say that. But you want,
We're not smart shots.
you want, if it's running a deficit, you want to be able to see that. It's very important for an enterprise fund. And there's no contract needed.
So then Betsy said that we could do anything we wanted to, as you talked to her about this?
She said there are buildings, so we can spend the money on them if we want to.
Okay.
Yes, but
Where
I'm
did
saying,
Betsy
why
get her
not
accounting
keep
degree?
it in the same accounting it's had for 25 years, and the same as every other enterprise fund and every other special district.
I think the
You
frustrating,
keep track of the profitability.
I think the frustrating thing for Lori is that we're asking her to show that she can make money, and when she got there, the place was dilapidated. And now we're saying, we want you to make money, and oh, by the way, you have to pay all these new expenses that could have been done before you got there, and, well, no, I mean, that's where I think it's coming from, but, on the other hand, as a board, when we're looking at the profit and loss, we can say, as we do it, okay, this is the deferred maintenance, we maybe will think about that differently as we're voting on whether to keep the place going or not.
The board can subsidize the enterprise fund if you want to. You say we're going to subsidize it and name the amount and do it, but you keep track of that.
Well, right now
We
we
are
are subsidizing and we're keeping
Yeah.
track of
That
it,
was gonna be
so.
my point.
Except you can't tell me the amount, then go ahead.
Well, yeah. Brett, you're next.
Well, I was just gonna say the same thing you kind of just said there.
Okay.
You know, if the children's center is making money, it can pay its bills. And it doesn't get subsidized by the board. Right now, it's not it can't meet its responsibilities to pay the bills, so the board's already paying it. But like Bob says, you wanna keep that accounting in place, so you know what the business is actually doing. You start, paying for the electrical, and all these other things, you won't know what the business is doing. And then, let's say you wanted to sell it someday, you would want that on paper, so you could say, oh, here's the business, and this is what the bills are. If you have all these things going this way and that way, you're not gonna have a true, then you're gonna have to make up a whole new paperwork to sell the business. So it's good to keep it, all in one place, and just keep the accounting the way it has been.
Shay's next.
I agree with that too, because over the course of being in this room for 15 years, there's been all of these arguments about what happened here, what happened there, and if we change things to make the Children's Center look more financially feasible now, but we're scooting other things under the SMRPD rug, there's going to be a lot of confusion later and a lot of explanation, and it'll be messy, I think.
So effectively, all the money's coming out of the same pot anyway.
Yeah.
And we just need to, as we're deciding on whether it's profitable enough for us to keep it open, we can consider how much of the money went to the building maintenance versus how much, went to their actual costs for running their operation.
The easiest way to do it is just transfer the funds from the general fund to the enterprise fund and keep track of it.
And
That's what we're doing.
The other thing is that if you've done significant rehabilitation to the building, you may want to consider that as an asset, a depreciable asset, and think about it in terms of what's the value of the buildings, and do some depreciation on it. That way you're not going to have, obviously that cash is a loan that SMRPD made to the Children's Center, but in the Children's Center books, it doesn't necessarily have to sit there totally as a liability. It's appreciated. So if Lori is worried about what kind of expenses she's going to be charged with to make a profit, I would say it makes sense for her on the SCC books to capitalize revitalization money, but the pest control, the waste management, and the electricity, I'm sorry, but
That's ongoing.
those are ongoing day-to-day expenses.
So what's the point? Do we need to do that capitalization and us depreciate because we're a government agency, we're a nonprofit, we don't do that?
Well, it's a way of keeping track of your assets and taking into consideration in your accounting what your true expenses are. Otherwise, you don't know if, you know, it's a way of keeping track of your intermittent expenses for maintenance and rehabilitation, for one thing. Because one year, let's say 1 year you spend $10,000 on your building to improve it, and then the next 5 years you don't spend anything. Does that mean that you didn't really spend anything?
Right.
Well, that's Lori's point.
That's the point.
That's her point, is she goes, I'm getting charged for everything that should have been done in the last 5 years.
Well, she's not being charged for that. She's being charged for, it's a business proposition. She's got a decent building to be in now. She can attract more students now. It's a better building.
That's why we did it in the first place.
Right, so it's a better building that she has.
With all due respect, I think you made the comment earlier, and from what I've seen, I would completely agree. I think her expertise is with children. I don't think she's a business person.
Well, she's looking at it and going, okay, if we lose this much money for this long, when are they going to pull the plug on me? What if you take these numbers up? Well, we can do that ourselves. We don't have to really change.
It's amortization over a long period of time and improvement.
If more comes in the door every month than goes out, you're making
We'd be all happy.
you need that snapshot picture in books.
Right.
Just two real quick things. We're talking about monies now for the Children's Center. You know, earlier in the night, we were talking about, you guys were talking about how to get the $7,000 to her on time, and you had to just kind of do that without public, you know, doing it in public, allocating the monies. You could allocate $25,000 in one of your board meetings, put that in their account, and then it's already there. So you don't have to, see what I'm saying? So that you don't have to wait like a week, 2 days before, oh, I need the money in 2 days. It could already be there and you set it up.
Yeah.
And then you allocate money as
But I wouldn't put her in charge of it.
I mean,
Meg is in charge of that part.
Well, yeah, Megan does it. Megan does it. This is just a point. So you allocated the monies in public, so now you don't have to say, "Oh, Megan, go ahead and write that check, and I'll come over and sign it." Because really, you're supposed to do that in public, and so you can allocate the money ahead of time.
Okay.
Wait, on behalf of every director ever to work at the Silverado Children's Center, I just want to say, I'm sorry, but when there's money in the account and we need to clean up, we need to, you know, hire somebody to do something, it's gonna go because you have work to do. I'm just saying.
It's not in the general account. It still has to be signed by
I
the
know.
directors.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Go on there. It's still just it's there.
A lot of directors have worked at the Children's Center that don't specialize in business and numbers, but they've run the Children's Center for many years and they've been great people.
I think the trick is you can make a reserve fund and your enterprise fund.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
I would disagree with everything that Brett just said. I mean, you're going to advocate with the scrutiny that this room is putting the board under right now. You're going to advocate for them to, in one moment, take $25,000 and put it in the account where it can be spent, and then later on ask them, "Oh, this is what we wanted to spend it for." With what you're putting them through right now, there's no way you should be doing that.
Well, I think he's saying you could do that.
No, because you're wanting them to approve the expenses.
But they're approving it right now without public input. They're approving the monies without public right now. There was $14,000 put in there in the last 2 months.
I understand, and this is a board meeting, and the board is voting.
But no, they don't vote on the money they get.
You know what? You don't get to vote. You get to talk, and you get to make comments. And really, you're probably supposed to do it at the beginning and the end. But we all come to these meetings as non-elected officials and think that we have as much voting right as they do. It's a board.
That's what I'm saying.
Chad, I think he's referring to the fact that we don't actually vote on the money going through the Children's Center. We voted last year to fund it to a certain date. There was never a cap or a date or anything.
You're
And I
not supposed
think,
to do it
yeah.
like that, you should be doing it in public.
And then it
that's
was
the
pushed
money.
and then it.
I mean, we
Now
really
it's-
only,
now it's-
we really only approve
Yeah.
so much
voted
per
it.
month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's
we're
what I'm
gonna,
saying. I know
we're gonna
we
not
did
do
it
any
in
action
Greenland,
on
we
this.
allocated
No,
money
I'll table it for
we
now.
needed beforehand.
Okay, table.
Okay, I had a response to Director Peterson's comment, and when she, out of the blue last month, blindsided me with this information, and it's really not a nice thing to do, and it's really impolite to do that. And so what happened is, she blindsided me and she came off so forcefully, I'm like, crap, gee, maybe I made this mistake. And so, and it was about whether we had brought Judy Lockridge's resume to the meeting where we hired Lori Briggs. So she also made a comment at that meeting that, gee, if we only had Judy back, it would be the most wonderful thing around, which really shows a lack of understanding about labor law and how it works. Is when you fire somebody, you don't hire them back. It's just how it's done. I mean, Phil, you might be able to talk about it because you've done a lot of business and other people, but you know, that was one thing. You don't hire somebody back when they've been fired. So I called Linda the next day and I go, Linda, you know, this happened, and I'm like, maybe I should quit, you know, this is bad. And Linda said,
I said, well, we talked with Lindy about Judy Lockridge, and I actually even think we talked with Bob about it at some point and asked the question, maybe it was in a
you
meeting.
and I talked about,
Private conversation.
Yeah.
Well, you weren't in the closed session meeting.
Yeah.
So
And,
then,
and I asked, did you ever get a hold of Lindy? Because I know she brought it up. I have no idea who Judy Lockridge is, and I don't know her, but I remember her bringing it up, and we did discuss it, and she was fired, and she asked if she should bring her in for an interview, or if we should consider her in the closed session, and we said, no, she was fired, so.
so
Yeah,
then
make a comment, I think you
not
guys
yet.
have to be careful in what you're talking about.
I wouldn't bring this up right
This
now.
person.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's not gonna be good.
so
I wouldn't.
okay, so I had, so Ron, when he saw the minutes, emailed us all and said, I didn't bring it with me, something to the effect, I was at that meeting and we talked about these people. And that's why, and we didn't take her. So I'd really like to withdraw my whole heartfelt, morbid apology that I felt so guilty last month, because two things: blindsided, doesn't give me any time to go out and check the facts. It was just impolite and a very not nice thing to do. And then it turns out that we have two other board members who remember that it was brought up at that meeting. And so I'm very upset with the behavior that happened at that meeting. And that's why I had a question about the minutes, that it's going to be in there in the minutes that Shay did this. And now I find out from other people, because it's been a while, I just don't remember. You know, I'm getting older, I just can't remember everything. I get other people who go, and Tom doesn't remember either, but we get these two, he's older. So,
Poor guy.
I mean, and then,
Those poor people.
if I can go on and slightly change the topic,
What?
at the same, no, I'm not done. At the same meeting, you brought up that you've been asking for these maps and all this documentation on the property that we're negotiating to get. And that, you know, we're not giving you the stuff and this is horrible. And so I went home, got on my computer, I sent it to her that night. And I'm sorry I didn't bring the email. If you'd all like to see it, I'll get it to you. She responds in the email and says, oh, thank you. Yeah, I had these documents before, but when my computer crashed, I lost them.
No, I know, I said I had Dropbox on my other desktop and I didn't have it anymore. Thank you for the new Dropbox invite, is what I said.
I didn't send you I sent you how to get them. So, but the implication that I got at the last meeting was that I hadn't sent her the stuff ever. and that I was hiding stuff from her and I was trying to keep stuff away. And I'm like, and her email back was, oh yeah, I had these before,
No,
thanks.
that's not what I said.
I will bring the actual email next month for everybody who wants to see it.
I
But
had
it's
Dropbox.
you had Dropbox, you lost Dropbox,
I
right?
lost Dropbox, I never was given those documents. And then when you sent me the link to them, I said, thank you.
That's not what the
Thank
email
you.
said. I'll bring it next month, we can
Right.
talk about it. But my concern is the pattern of behavior of, I try to be nice to people, and I get blindsided at a meeting where you easily could have called me and said, what about this? This is, I think you did something wrong. And I could have figured out, yeah, I did something wrong, I better apologize right now, versus I'm being attacked in the meeting by my fellow director, and that's the
Can
part
I-
that I'm very upset about. And that's,
I understand that, and I appreciate that. My comment actually wasn't about whether or not Judy Lockridge should be hired. My comment was about a third resume that I was never given prior to voting on a new director. And that, I explained it, it's on video, it's in the minutes, that if someone sends information to the SMRPD board, there's 5 of us. 5 of us are supposed to get that information. And if we go into a closed session and we discuss it, well, there's probably reasons why we don't want to do this, then that's fine. That's part of the legal process. And that process was suppressed by someone getting information that was meant for the board and deciding what to do with it, talking to someone outside of the board, getting input, and then suppressing it, and then I'm the only elected official of this board with a verbal communication that I'm responsible to the citizens of the district that elected me. I did not even get this document. I still don't have the document. I don't know where it is. I asked Judy Lockridge to send me one. She's going to send it to me tomorrow.
so
I'm just saying, someone on the board cannot suppress information that's meant for the whole board. It doesn't matter if you're the president or the vice president or whatever. There's 5 of us.
So let me rephrase what I said a few minutes earlier, because obviously you didn't understand it. Ron and Linda are both saying that they recall that Judy's name was brought up at the meeting and that we didn't accept her
Judy
because...
submitted a letter to the board. I asked where the letter
We
she
did not,
submitted
I
to the
don't think
board.
we got the letter. I never saw it
remember
unless.
it.
I talked to Judy today, I called her at work, and she said she was asked to detail what she would do differently with the Silverado Children's Center and how she would make it a viable business and everything, and then Greg asked for this information. She wrote it all, she said she spent a lot of time on it, and
Okay.
she
So
sent
none of the
it,
board got
and
it.
she was really, really
Did you get it?
disturbed that I never
I
received
I didn't
it,
get a
and I'm on
copy,
the
we
board.
discussed it.
We discussed
in-
her that night at
Yes,
the
in
meeting.
closed session,
In closed session, Ron and Linda
yes.
are
Were you there, Sharon?
reaffirming
Were you
that we
there, Sharon?
talked about Judy that night at the meeting. And
Yes.
that
I
then
got 3
Kevin-
pages from Lori Briggs, and I got 1 page from Kelly that day, because she decided that day to put her hat in the ring, and I got those, but I didn't get Judy's, and I'm disturbed by that.
And the
No
reason-
explanation here is okay with me that I'm a park district director and someone's deciding for me and for the public what information they are to have. The very first paragraph of the Brown Act, the very first one, every public official needs to know this and read it, say it to themselves in their sleep. Public commissions, boards, councils, and other legislative bodies of local government agencies exist to aid in the conduct of the people's business. The people do not yield their sovereignty to the bodies that serve them. The people insist on remaining informed to retain control over the bodies that they have created.
That's
No
a
one
very-
decides.
That's a very nice reading of it, but the point is in the closed session, we brought up Judy's name and talked about her.
Where are the minutes where you can show me
There
that?
are no minutes in a closed session meeting.
Okay, then it's hearsay. Because
That's what a closed session meeting is, Shay.
Okay.
Now, because of what's come up, and it's obviously an issue, I think that we should think about how to have some minutes of a closed session so that this doesn't come up in the next.
Didn't you have a tape recorder?
Shay, were you
It's a closed session.
Were you at the closed session? Were you at the closed session?
Yes.
Yes, we
She
were all
was at
there.
the meeting.
It
That's-
was all of us.
That's what blew my mind is that I was at the meeting and she was like, I was there and it's happening. I'm like,
Well, maybe she didn't get the.
Maybe
Get
this
it at the
discussion
meeting.
took place before the meeting
It
or
did
after
not.
the meeting and
It
not
did
while I
not
was there.
take place outside of that room over there where all 5 of us and Lindy were at.
Well, the fact is, there is a letter sent to the board that didn't get to the board director, so whatever other explanations there are, that is still an issue.
No, you're trying to brush something under the rug. This was talked about in the closed session, is what Linda and Ron are remembering that it happened.
Did you read me her letter and what she said? I got to read 3 pages of Lori Briggs and a whole page of Kelly. I didn't read anything.
She
Wasn't
wasn't
a
even an
candidate.
acceptable candidate.
Nobody got, I did not see the letter either because she was not an
So that was
acceptable
decided
candidate.
before going into the meeting?
No,
that
that was
not
at
She
the
asked,
meeting.
she asked the question at the meeting. She said, we have another
You guys
candidate.
are not, you're
Yes.
not,
I think the
You're going
problem
around.
is the paperwork was suppressed. That's the, you
It
know, we can
wasn't-
talk about anything. It's different than having the
wasn't
letter in the.
suppressed.
I should have been given that letter, gone into the meeting and then decided whether or not to.
And all of you should have decided that she was an unlikely person to hire.
That's what happened at the meeting,
Well,
and
Shay
Shay
didn't have
doesn't
the conversation
remember.
Evidently.
Well, I don't remember it either.
Well,
It's not the first piece of document that I had to try
But
to pull from the board. There was the memorandum from the attorney was, I requested the information on the memorandum from the attorney. I asked her through December last year, did you get it done? Did you get it done? I'm working on it. And then January I asked her, and then finally late January, early February, I said, where is it? She goes, I sent it to Greg last month.
Is this another
And
issue?
Yeah.
and it came, and it was upon my request that I got it. I'm just saying, there's suppression of
Have you shared that with the
information.
board then? Have you shared that
Okay.
document with
Yeah,
the board?
because I never got a letter. I never got a
never
copy
got one.
of that.
I
So
don't
you
think.
did get a copy of it, but I did not.
At the meeting from him.
I did not, I never got it, so that's
Well,
suppression. You should have shared that with me.
Well, you should share it
I
now. since
probably
you have
didn't
it.
have enough copies. She can't share it with
No,
anybody.
he's saying, the attorney said we can't share it with the public,
Well, I
whether
think
or
the
not he
point
But
got
you
is
can
it.
this.
share it with the board.
I think the point is
Right.
this.
Okay.
Nobody's trying to suppress anything. Nobody's trying to suppress anything.
I
I
feel
did
that
not-
way.
Okay, I didn't get a copy of that letter, and I'm sure that you didn't withhold it from me. I'm sure it was just, there wasn't enough copies, it was an oversight, whatever. And I'm sure nobody was trying to keep that resume from you. I would bet my children's life on it. I mean, nobody is keeping anything from you. That's, I think there's no suppression.
Yeah, as I recall, when that, and I do recall it being brought up, but it was eliminated from the beginning. Why read a letter if you said this person isn't gonna be qualified? Well, let's go over the resume anyhow. We didn't do that.
Pat, thanks for waiting.
If I recall correctly, at the last meeting, Craig, you said that you did get I don't know, I think it was a resume from her or something, application, and that you decided after talking to people that it was not going to happen and that you did something with it. And that was why the others didn't get it.
Right, but what I didn't remember either, and that's what Ron and Linda said, was no, we mentioned the lady's name and she wasn't a candidate, and that was the end of
But
it.
I thought that in the last meeting you said you did have
Well,
a
because
paper, a document,
I
and,
did.
and you got rid of it. And I
No,
think
I
that
still
was
have
probably
them.
the point.
No, I still
That's the
have them.
point.
We brought it, but she came, so Shay didn't remember what happened. I didn't remember what happened. She's so forceful in what she said last month, I thought, God, I really screwed up big. But it turns out that I didn't screw up as big as I thought, because Ron and Linda remembered that her name was mentioned at the meeting, that she wasn't a qualified candidate for the position.
I think it's just the fact that the
The
paper
paper
wasn't on
was
the
gone.
table.
Yeah.
And you guys
Well-
didn't
That
just
was
say,
it.
hey, here's one from Judy, this is her, and
We're
And
not
the
gonna get-
subcommittee.
I
by the
wanna
way,
say-
I talked to my wife and we
What
didn't
was
need it
it?
anymore.
Okay.
Can I say something?
There.
For 4 years that there's been an appointed quorum on this board, there's been marginalization of directors that were elected by the public. It happened to Marty and Brett, they were left out of information and power and control. They were even removed from committees that they were already on. And then when I came to the board, it was, don't push Shay out of the way, push ourselves over here. I'm being honest and I'm being point blank.
You can feel how you want, but that's not what's happening.
So I wonder about information coming to the board that isn't coming to the board. It's coming to the president or whoever's acting as president at the time.
Brilliant
It doesn't
show,
get to
Shay.
everyone.
Good job for the camera.
Stop,
Okay,
stop
so
that, Lisa.
Baloney.
I want to say, Shay, you and
It's
I
a
run
great
most
concern.
of the committees. I talk to you on an ongoing basis. We never excluded you from anything. I don't know where that's coming from because you and I are running most of the committees. So where is that coming from? I mean, I don't have the documents that you're talking about either. Do you think that they're not giving them to me either? That they're suppressing them from me?
Sounds like it.
I'm asking you, I mean, what is your theory on that? I wonder.
Shay, you're not being excluded from the stuff.
There's no exclusion.
You and I did not remember what happened at that meeting,
Let's make sure
that we take
that
minutes from now on.
every park board now and in the future understands that the directors are 5, not the president and the vice president, not any quorum of like-minded people, but everyone. And when information is destined to the board, that we do our due diligence of getting it there, no matter who we are. I would be happy with
And we
that.
have, we'll come up with some way to take minutes even in closed session, so we don't have a problem remembering.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that, is that normal that you just never take minutes at the closed sessions, or that, I mean, I would think that would be a very important place to take the minutes, but
No minutes?
just never have done
No
it?
minutes, Bob, right?
It's not common to take minutes.
It's not common?
Okay. In fact, if you write minutes on your own agenda stuff, you have to be really careful with that because that's closed session material.
Interesting, okay. I got an education.
Has to go into the locked file,
Locked file.
We all
Okay,
which
so,
would be okay.
so can we agree that we're gonna be,
Reopen.
can we all agree we're gonna be nicer to each other? And
And
if,
distribute all the paperwork.
yeah. So I
Yes.
got from Betsy, and I thought after she came and talked to us last time that things were better, but she gave us something I'll send to the policy committee, and you guys look it over about how directors treat each other. One of the items is when there's a problem, you call the director and you talk to them and try to work it out. So I will get that to your policy committee also.
The next item.
Okay, next item. There's a Sentry ad that went out and we got the bill for it. It's for the Silverado Country Fair.
Why would you, who got the bill for it?
Megan called the other day and she goes,
Oh.
why is there a bill that we received for the Country Fair ad?
That's because the Century and the OC Weekly and all these different groups that the same person submits things, while they're taking your order or whatever, they slide it in the computer under whatever last thing that you did, so obviously they slid that under the last thing over there. And they didn't ask who it was supposed to be billed to.
I'd like to comment on that, because I talked to Megan, and I try to track down in advertising, they have insertion orders. When you buy an ad, somebody buys the ad, and when you buy the ad, it's how are you gonna pay for it? She said specifically.
I paid for it with a credit card, so there is no bill to the
She
Children's
said
Center.
that the.
No, the bill came to the SMRPD, I think.
I paid with a credit card over the phone for the
She
ad.
said the credit.
It's just an invoice receipt, but they sent it to the
No,
wrong place.
it's
No,
She
we have-
said
it was
it
a
Well,
was
you
bill.
can
all-
check with the
okay.
Century, it's already paid by my credit card.
Okay, regardless of how it's ultimately paid, the
Ultimately, it was
SMRPD
originally
account was billed, the ad was placed for the Silverado Country Fair under the Silverado account under the SMRPD. That's the way the ad was bought.
Not in my contract.
That's what the,
Do you
that's
have
what
my
the Sentry,
contract?
that's what the Sentry told us.
Well, my contract that I filled out does not say SMRPD.
So we just need to get a
So
copy
it's
of
just,
that.
yeah, they did
Then the
something
Century
wrong.
is lying to us, and Megan is lying to us.
I did a contract, I paid for it with a credit card over the phone to make sure that we got it.
We need to find out, it may be all paid for.
It is.
Well, it may be, but that's not the point. If I may
It looks
continue.
bad.
The point is that if you are purchasing an ad for someone, you can't put it on their account and then say, oh, I paid for it. Actually,
I
others
didn't
are
put
not.
it on their account is what I'm saying. I have a contract, I didn't know I needed to bring it here tonight. It
Okay,
says
so
Silverado
just
Country
bring it-
Fair, it doesn't say Parks and
Okay,
Rec.
just bring it next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
That's it,
so,
that's it.
but we need to all be
I
really.
do it over email.
We need to all be really careful, but how did they, that it doesn't get sent to our account?
But
Because
this,
Megan said we got a bill, she didn't see it was a paid
It's-
invoice.
they,
Someone looked at the
they
name
give
on
you
it.
an invoice
Pardon?
after.
They probably went off the logo and
There's no logo. It's,
no logo?
It's the
It's
Silverado
the
Country
Fair.
Fair. It's not the
Anything Silverado.
SMRPD.
Maybe because it says the community, maybe because it says the community center on it, they send it to their.
It's just an accounting.
Yeah, we just need to get a
Yeah.
copy
Because
of it.
the
to
last
show them.
person to deal with them was me.
then you need to be careful that,
And
You
they,
you
and they
just
slide things
identify.
under, because I've noticed that with OC Weekly too, this week. That I was looking for the Silverado Country Fair, and they didn't have us in the computer, and I said, well, they looked up my name, and they looked up other events, and they had slid it under another event. That, I didn't do that, they did. The Century did the same thing, it's common.
Hey, I just bought banners at a sign company, paid for it with a credit card over the phone, and the company that I do work for got a bill for it.
sounds
Same
like what we
thing.
got. Okay.
It was,
So,
it,
next item?
But-
Yeah,
wait,
it was
can we-
paid for. I called them up and they said, oh, wait, our mistake. Yes, it was paid for.
Good,
And we'll send a thing that says it's paid for.
good, okay.
But this is like,
That's
says
just a simple
explanation of unapproved Century ad, and then it says and supported by statement, but you didn't talk about that. But I hope the board remembers that a couple years ago, there was argument, and Ron brought it up, that the SMRPD didn't have enough exposure and wanted to know why the Inter Canyon League was being listed as a sponsor of the country fair and not the SMRPD, and we said that's because we're under the umbrella of the Inter Canyon League, and they are sponsoring it, and we said, we'll give you guys supported by, and we'll put the SMRPD on the signs and everything, and it was like, great. So we did that, that's why it's on the ad, and that's why it's on the flyer, because you guys, sorry, not you guys, we wanted to support it and be on the stuff going out and hand them out at the fair if we, if we can. And Wendy was even going so far as to like take the SMRPD logo and laminate it and put it on the signs. And she was going to do that with these signs that say Country Fair and put the SMRPD logo on it, but the signs got ripped down.
Do we have to vote on that, by the way? Like,
If you want
supporting
to,
the
we
fair?
just assumed that it was.
Well, my question is,
Continued.
what do we get for the support? Just by using our logo, we support you, is that it?
No, we're
We
gonna,
is a community, it's our community center and the 44th annual fair here
Yeah,
that
but
supports the
But the
community.
Silverado Country Fair is a private business.
No, it's
No,
not.
it isn't.
It's a
It's
DBA, it's a DBA owned by Jane Bove, and it was.
That was just a bank account like Christmas in the
Whether it's
Canyons,
a-
don't get started on that.
It's a private business.
What was
Because it's a
Christmas in the
DBA. A DBA means doing business as, and I don't care if you use it to establish an account, a business license, what have you. It is a private business. So you can't solicit, you can't use public funds, taxpayer funds, to support a private business. So you say, oh, it's just that, we didn't mean that, whoops, no, that's not the way it is.
I'm okay with.
We've already beaten this horse
Yeah, we've beaten
to
this
death.
horse to death.
well, I think that
So that's the reason for the supported by
the fair
statement.
has always supported the Children's Center. And my understanding is, and we had some discussion today, that I'm sure with Shay and Lori and I'm sure they're gonna support the Children's Center again.
Well, that's good.
The Children's Center is under the SMRPD, it's owned by the SMRPD. So I'm sure that since they're gonna support us, we're gonna support them.
We're also hoping to make improvements to the park that need to be done before the fair so that they can come off of Steve's plate. That would be a support also.
I just want to say that the fair committee will decide where the funds go. So we can't assume anything.
Okay.
Not to say something will or won't happen, but
Right. Well, we've already, Shay and I've already talked before.
I explained
Talked
that
about that,
the
so.
I don't
Sure,
want to
if
get
we
into
have a
country fair
pause.
business in our meeting, which is already
Yeah.
headed towards 10 o'clock.
Right.
Okay.
Just a quick statement, because I know that the ICL covers the insurance for the fair, and it comes like off the top of the income for the fair, which is like $1,600 or $1,700 to cover that. I mean, it just seems like that money would benefit the SMRPD since it's on SMRPD property if the SMRPD covered that event.
Well, if next year you guys want to do it, you can be covered under our insurance for free, and you don't have to pay $1,600.
Well, it's not that we have to pay, it's our
it's our contribution to the community to have insurance paid.
I just.
No, it's their whole policy.
It's for the
that they're
whole
paying.
policy, not just for the weekend.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
If everybody reads what the OC Register is gonna write next week, hopefully it comes out, about the Silverado Country Fair, it's the history of the fair. And I was really surprised too. The Inter Canyon League has run the fair for almost 44 years, except for our little group that, you know, we did our own thing. So, because it was dead. So we brought it back. It's like coming around full circle, bringing it back under the Inter Canyon League and buying the Inter Canyon League. Insurance is the same as giving a gift back to the Inter Canyon League, putting money in the fund. And it started with, after the '69 flood, to help beautify the canyons and bring people together, and a way to get artists doing business again and stuff like that. And it was through the Inter Canyon League that the fair grew and continued, and it's just the appropriate place for it now.
Well, the Inter Canyon League was involved in the fair. I was at the first one. And it wasn't an Inter Canyon League, it was just a group of people that got together.
You're talking about in front of the store, the very,
No, we got right here, before none of these buildings were here, there was an old barn back here, and everybody just decided to get together and have a good time. And that went on for a few years, and then the Inter Canyon League got a little bit involved and said, hey, we'll help out. And then it went to the school for a while and got real big, and everybody said, oh, this is too much work. And then it went dark, and then you guys picked it up. And it started all over again.
I take that back, they didn't pick it up
No,
because
you guys picked
we
it up.
picked it up. It was,
Inter Canyon League.
Mike Beck, Bob, you were in on it that day because you went and got the jambalaya. It was actually Canyons Go Cajun.
Yeah.
We started that,
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
then,
when
and that, then the next year it went back to Canyons Go Country. So there was a dark time for a long time there, and it was like 5 of us who put it back together again. I can't even remember when it was, probably 15, well.
Well, can we move on to the next?
So, don't say that
So-
you're the one who
Yeah.
invited it, because I have a little bit of a problem with that, because it was a group
Oh,
of
no,
us.
I'm talking about when you guys decided not to do it anymore. I'm talking about picking that up.
Okay.
Greg made the misstatement. 'cause he
That's
didn't
what I was talking about
designate.
after you.
I believe it was after the fire when we chose not to work on it, because we were all burned out.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is a vote to approve no more than $200 for the SCC to have a laminator. Is there a motion?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll make a motion,
I make a
and we'll make the
motion.
changes to this.
I make a motion to approve.
Oh, no, we'll make the motion that you want if you want it to be different than this motion.
Yeah.
Make it now.
Okay, I make a motion to buy 1 laminator, purchased by the district, and to share it with the SCC.
I'll second that.
The reason for
That's
that
better.
is, I know everybody's getting tired. Capri asked us to make sure and laminate the things that are emergency and everything for people to see, and so we need to have a laminator. So, gotta put it on.
But you have a laminator.
No, that's your laminator, and you've never let me touch it, Wendy. Like your
Oh,
phone.
you don't let people play with your toys?
No, she doesn't.
My dad does that.
Okay, so we have a second.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It was, no, moved by Linda, seconded by Tom. And it was unanimous.
Okay.
Okay. What do we want to do for a fall winter recreation flyer?
Oh, okay. We had a recreation meeting, it was really, really great. We have minutes. And we discussed the ongoing issue with instructor agreements and stuff like that. Well, oh wait, I'm giving a committee report.
We're done here now, we're done here.
Yeah,
This one.
committee report.
No, but, okay, can I do recreation committee then? Yeah,
Not
okay.
if- You don't have to, you could just say it was a great meeting.
Okay, well, it was a great meeting, and
Thank
then,
you.
no, the brochure, we want to try to get the brochure done to hand out at the country fair. And with the fire and everything, and it's just been, it's been delayed, so
Do you need
we're gonna
money?
try.
You need to vote.
Do you need money?
We need
Well, we've
to,
already approved the money,
Okay.
so we just need to vote.
we're
make a
gonna vote on the
motion.
final thing.
Yeah.
We'll get everybody together to vote on the final brochure.
I make a
And-
Is there a
motion
second?
to
Yeah.
approve the flyer once it's approved, to distribute it at the Silverado County Fair.
Mhm.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bev, it was unanimous.
What number are we on?
Uh,
8B.
Okay.
Okay, and then, oh, that was it, okay. Are we done with it?
Yep, next item.
Okay, so,
Fundraisers. Yay, we need more fundraisers.
so one of the
Cameras flashing.
brainstorming ideas was to bring back the bingo that the Children's Center used to do, but have it as an SMRPD recreation fundraiser, so we could possibly get enough money in the bank to subsidize our recreation programs, because attendance is low on all of our programs, and
You
the
don't have
te-
many programs.
They're talking about having more programs now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they come, people come, and then they go, and then they come, and then they go, and the Zumba class has at most 4 people, it's barely worth their time. But if there's a way to increase enrollment in that and come up with other ideas how we can do that, we would like to start at least by having a fundraiser that's ongoing, monthly, and bingo seems to be something people want to do.
Or some kind of, not particularly bingo, but it might be
Could be different.
casino, and we were talking about holding it at the Silverado Center so that we could have alcohol.
No, Majeska.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Majeska, sorry.
I have a question on that. Is there any restriction, and this is a question, I don't know, about gambling?
Not as a,
Exchanging
I've been
money
looking
or-
There is a
into
way
it.
to do
Oh, no.
that.
Yeah,
It's all
and for
nonprofit
charities.
It's a way,
Yeah.
you gotta be,
And I
you
have all
gotta
the
be smart
paper,
about it.
I have all the paperwork, I think it's too much to discuss right now, but maybe we could bring it up,
Everything here.
for a possible.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is minutes of our,
So if we're all good with you guys going ahead with that, does anybody have any problems with trying to expand the recreation program like this?
So I'm asking for $25,000 from the general fund.
did you want minutes of that meeting?
Yeah, to put into a recreation.
Anybody want minutes of that
To put
meeting?
into a recreation.
Everybody's paying attention.
Minuteman?
She's asking for a lot of money, you should pay attention. So the recreation committee's just asked us for seed money to start this stuff.
25,000 to be transferred into a recreation committee account as seed money so that we can start the bingo or casino nights. And we'll come with a full plan. Obviously, this isn't a voting issue tonight, but I'm putting it out there.
That
What?
was a
How
committee
much?
decision.
Yeah,
It was a
25,000.
committee decision.
I'd like to see what the whole plan is. I mean, I don't know what 25,000
We
is.
would-
See those
we
bingo
would have a
prices.
plan. We would come up with a
Okay,
plan.
so if you guys wanna do this,
I'm coming.
double or nothing. So if they wanna do this, we need to have a whole plan, we need to see how you're gonna track the money. And obviously, you're not gonna do one big event at first to make sure you make the money, right? So you wanna bring us some, I mean.
And this is, it's obviously the 25,000 isn't gonna be used only for casino nights, but we have other events planned, maybe a golfing fundraiser and some other.
And remember, we talked about having resources like the van, et cetera, to use for,
Shuttle.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we're asking for a lot of money. shuttles, etc., to take field trips.
About the Rose Parade.
Yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Okay, that'd be great. So, I don't know that we're ready to actually try to give you money tonight, right?
Well, I'd like to come up with a plan by next meeting,
Okay, well,
so
we
that
could,
we can get the money.
if you guys have a plan, we'll have a special meeting and let you start working on it. So you gotta have good accounting. I would like to see Robin Chapman or Jean Chapman or someone who Megan says is blessed to be smart enough to do the books. And we need it to be all accounted for, just like we account for other stuff. Is that you guys okay with that?
Would we bring in an outside accountant under our SMRPD committee?
I think from the,
Volunteer.
I think
Oh,
the people
okay.
on the committee, they're capable people that could do that.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah, we'll have a plan. I think what we may even consider is having a company come in and do the first one and show us their plan of how we're gonna make money. So I've been doing that investigation. So I will have, I think it's too much for tonight, but I will have some of that. Maybe we need to have a special meeting or
okay.
a committee meeting first and then a meeting to approve it, maybe at the next meeting, because we would like to get going on this.
Something really important that came out of that meeting was, yeah, instruction courses are great, but when they cost me $15 every week, $25 every time, I can't afford to go. I desperately want to go, but is there another way that SMRPD can subsidize, pay the
Parts and Rec.
teacher, and
Yeah.
then I pay $5 for the class and bring all of my friends, and then, I mean, it's really good ideas, and it's good to know where people are at, and we would like more people, benefiting from what our rec programs have to offer, so.
And one of the things that I was thinking about after that was that maybe what we could do is say, we're gonna offer you, after you provide so many meetings, one free meeting, but all the community's gotta be allowed to come for free. So this way lets people test the program and see if they wanna pay for it. So that was another idea.
Has there been an accounting of the current classes on which teachers are paid and haven't paid, and what's outstanding and what's making money, what's not making money?
Yeah, we do have a
about that.
spreadsheet and we're working on that, and the gun class is one of probably the most profitable classes.
He's come out from the rears and become a very, what would you say?
Consistent.
Consistent, yeah.
Yeah.
Last time you said that the Zumba teacher had never paid a class, did she get caught up?
She has had the lowest turnout, and so she's not in the rears very much, but she's working now on a payment program with us to get caught up, and she wants to continue the classes, but that's one of the struggling programs. She can't really, justify coming up for that small amount of money, but she loves the ladies that are in the class, and they have this great camaraderie, and they just need more participation. So we're going to try to highlight the Zumba class in a little demo at the country fair, so she can advertise and try to get more people into the class, and then work out something
Put her on the
later.
stage.
Work
Yeah.
out some, well, no, the stage
Yeah.
has sound equipment, it's down on
She'll
the
be
ground.
down on the
Yeah.
front.
But the idea is that she'll work out later with the recreation committee, any new changes that we make as a board to the recreation program, but currently she's willing to catch up on what she's doing.
Okay, so
It's not much.
So I'm getting fatter by the day, and I don't feel welcome at the Zumba class.
Because it's
Oh,
all
We have
All you need is a bunch of dollars. A bunch of little silver dollars.
$15 for a class.
So,
no, for the,
so
yeah, the bell, yeah.
Well, it would be pretty interesting to see if we could subsidize the classes and get enough people to come
Yeah.
to build,
Well,
to make the
that's-
subsidy.
See, that's what
That's what we're looking
committee's
to
talking
do. We wanna
about.
make
It's
some
like,
money so that we can pay these people, so the people who can't afford to
yeah,
come.
I mean, we
And
want
I can't afford to come.
community to have recreation programs, whether or not the people themselves are paying
Yeah.
for it. And
Right.
that's what a park and recreation should be
Good idea.
doing, is providing for their community.
Right.
Thank you, great ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much that for recreation.
Okay, so,
Okay.
so,
Oh, no.
Well, but that's
CATC.
the reason, well, part of our discussion was just amongst the people who were there is that we would go to those classes, but we can't afford that.
But that's why you offer a bunch of different classes that different people can attend. That's why you always do new classes every month. You can't just run the same classes, the same.
I know, there's a lot to work out, but I think the idea is we're trying to subsidize the recreation programs to get more community involvement, and hopefully it will snowball and, you know.
Get more
Yeah.
people up here providing classes that have an
Yeah,
interest,
right.
that the community's interested in.
it's part of our
Obviously,
mission,
what
so-
we've been
Yeah.
doing hasn't been working, so we're looking at a new path.
The other recommendation from the committee was possibly to ask the board to use Christmas in the Canyon proceeds in the bank for recreation programs. So we wanted to propose that idea to the board.
So it's all money, it's just all our money, so it doesn't matter what we call it or where it comes from.
Yeah, and so if we get 25 from the general fund, I'll be happy.
So there'll be another account, recreation account then?
Well, Megan will do another quick book category or something.
Instead of like Christmas in the Canyon, it might be
Allocated funds.
called,
Yeah, recreation, something.
yeah, recreation
Just come up
or,
with the snazzy name.
okay.
Okay, so 11A.
Dancing elves.
11A, we've talked with those people, Scott Ferguson at Trust for Public Lands, and so they're getting close with the Silverado Treat Center on what their conservation easements are gonna be. So when we get something that they sign off on, then we're gonna look at it and say, are we willing to accept it? And then we'll be really close to being done with the deal. They go to the state, and the state only meets so often, so they won't make any promise on when it'll be, but it's getting really, really good.
When do you know when they meet?
They meet quarterly, and I think it just passed, so it
Oh.
probably won't happen this
Oh.
year, I don't think.
Oh, I see, okay, well, that's
I don't think
big
there's ever,
information.
there was a private discussion after last month's meeting, but this
There's
whole.
nothing to report yet, that's the report. And everything that I have is there. You know, everybody keeps asking me for what are the restrictions on the property. I don't think you understand, the restrictions are 2 sentences in the grant deed. So when you read it.
Well, no, what I'm sorry, go ahead.
So when
But
you
that-
read it,
that's not my
that's what
point.
the restrictions are. We don't have anything back yet that's done, that their attorneys and TPL are done with for us to discuss yet. That's where we're at right now. And that's not public information, what they're
Right.
beating back and forth on each other.
What you sent in the email on Dropbox is what I was looking for, so.
And that's all,
Pretty much.
that's all there was, and that's all there has been. Now, I was thinking though, after you said that, we should get a big topo map that covers that whole area so we can like draw on it.
But I think my point is that there was a lot of information that came out in this discussion after the meeting last month, and that was all very informative. And none of that information has even been even without details or anything that has to do with legal mumbo jumbo. But I think the public needs to know what is going on.
Well, that's not exactly true, because weren't you at that meeting when we sat around that little
Yeah,
table?
but that was
That was the meeting.
no.
That's all there is.
No.
That's all there is to know right now.
No. But that's what I'm
No,
saying.
not last month.
A couple months ago.
She was
Trails.
were you at the
Yeah.
Open Space and Trails Committee?
Yeah.
We probably need to have another
That's
one.
it.
Yeah,
That's
but-
all we know so far.
Yeah, but, all right, so we had that committee meeting, but the information that was presented to us all at that committee was not presented to the public
Here.
It's all
here.
It's all in
Okay.
Dropbox.
I think the
Don't
Dropbox
talk
is kind of
about
gnarly
the
because it can
Dropbox.
really like mess up your computer.
It just seems, how about next month on the agenda is just a discussion about
Where we are.
what that is.
Well,
without
okay.
any of the legal stuff that you can't talk about,
Yeah,
because
how about
it's
a
not
report from
been,
the Trails Committee on what happened in that
Yes.
Well,
committee meeting?
are there minutes? Because there's supposed to be minutes.
There are.
Okay.
Okay, so can we bring the minutes next time? I would
The
like to
minutes,
see
the
that.
minutes
Yeah.
is all the package, and that's it.
Well, I'd
So-
like to see the package, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Hey, Greg,
yeah, right.
maybe we should have another.
I think you're
We
suppressing
were in
information.
committee meeting.
We should
What?
have another open space committee meeting and talk about getting those topo maps so we can have those as presentations and
Yeah.
stuff.
We should get the maps first,
So
yeah.
maybe through the committee, we can work on that
Maybe,
and get some of the maps and,
Could
you
you
know,
go-
the trails that are
Yeah.
on the.
Do you know where to buy, can you go buy a topo map and reimburse you for it?
I can probably maybe get a better map than that if I go to the county or Dan Dulac might have something we can do.
Get 'em on
So, I'll see about doing that.
Well, we want a big one that we can put on the map and
Put
show
that
our
on the
new
wall and
property.
everyone can see it
Yeah.
and be all
Do
happy.
we have to vote to it?
You used to be able to go
Petty,
to
petty cat.
Yeah,
Okay,
petty
go.
cat.
Let's move on.
Okay,
Yeah.
facilities maintenance, safety, make your committee report short, please.
short.
Oh, well, no, those are minutes to go to Capri. So,
Item B.
wait. Yeah, okay, yeah.
You actually have to approve.
Yeah,
those
item B,
minutes
I just wanted,
Before they go to Capri. No?
well, I mean, they're not to Capri yet, but they don't, it's not in the policy that they have to be approved.
We just always do.
Okay.
It was done, but it doesn't have to be. We still need to put sand in Majeska Park.
Okay, so do we have a,
We have to
do we have a
put
dollar amount?
5 to 10 yards of sand in Majeska Park.
And did Steve leave?
No, he's here.
Because we have
We got
to, we have to dig the old dirty stuff out, right? and
No,
replace it
he
with
said on
clean?
top. He said fluff it, then put the new sand on top and then put,
We can fluff it and put it on top.
yeah.
Is that gonna be cost efficient, or is it gonna get all, is the dirt, my house, the dirt migrates its way up, and then the dirt
Yeah.
becomes on the
Well,
top?
I'll tell you what, when I run the tiller through that, it gets soft. I mean, it was even soft
soft
still
when we were there.
when we were over there. I mean, it's soft.
Okay, so one of my thoughts is how often do you have to till it versus what else could you buy that wouldn't need that much maintenance? The rubber costs a lot up front, but it doesn't need maintenance.
Kids like sand.
Wood chips
Wood
are not
chips.
I
good. The
think
wood
the
chips
Wood
at
sand,
chips
Children's
kids
Center.
burn sand.
Wood chips burn
And
and they
compress.
compact, so you still have to fluff them. So do we
And
think
replace.
sand is like the option?
Yeah.
I think
It's
so.
cheap, right?
It's cheap.
And Rick Richards
Go ahead.
liked our park with sand. He said it was perfect.
It is cheap, but from footing and things like that, when you're dealing with horses, the sand will actually break. And you start to get fines that come to you. So when everybody's hitting it and walking on it and things like that, it forms fines that they fluff initially, but as soon as you get pressure on them, they'll lock in.
Yeah.
So is there another material?
I think there might be some sands from like volleyball sand in court and stuff like that that stays
That makes
fluff there.
sense. It's gonna have to be
You might wanna check
filled.
into
It
that.
has to
There
be
might
filled.
be like certain kinds of sand.
It is, it's silica sand, but the thing is, when it combines with the fines, it comes up and then it binds. So the problem is, at some point, you gotta dig it all out, put new
Yeah.
sand in there.
Or wash it.
All the
put it
mud-
back in or something.
All the mud that came down is in that
Is in
sand,
there.
and I go look at it, so I
Yeah.
thought somebody one day said we needed to get the mud out.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay, but anyway, that's the plan, right?
Well, you know what, I mean, if we tilled it every 2 months maybe,
Well, I'm wondering, what if we put down a barrier underneath it that'll keep any dirt from underneath coming up, and then we only have to worry about another flood?
we'd have to take some out though, because I mean,
I assume we had to take a lot out because it's got dirt, it's got clay and dirt in it.
it's kind of a weird situation, because where that is, I mean, I don't know how to, because we've got the stairs right there. I'm just thinking like a tractor or something, how to get it in and out of there would be tough, because we got that, it would be hard, it's gonna be all hand.
And your labor
Maybe we could
factor.
get a volunteer.
Lisa, do you have input on this? Because you looked into it with the compaction and all that stuff.
Right.
So-
The rubber is the best way to go.
Cost of that and all the.
But it was expensive because it wasn't just about the rubber, you had to retrofit the playground, so it was a much bigger expense, because do you put the rubber down on the playground, or do you redo the whole thing,
Yeah,
which I think
okay,
is,
that
that's
was
what I
it.
always thought was better anyways.
Yeah,
So how
okay.
much was it gonna be for
For
the
the
rubber?
whole, how much was it gonna be to redo the whole playground?
I'd have to pull all the numbers on it, because,
What do we
Tim
table
Jacob
that
was
for
gonna give
next
us,
time?
you know, some good numbers, but then there was part of it because the playground was really sloping, and so we were gonna have to kind of build some walls to kind of make it straighter, but really the rubber was the better deal, because remember the cats were pooping in the sand and the kids were, there was glass that
dogs
was
were
in there
going-
and that
The
was the
cats
whole
were
issue.
pooping in the sand, the dogs were going up and eating it, then the dogs were pooping in the sand, and that's when we talked about it, maybe doing a fence around the kiddie part of the playground.
Okay.
That doesn't keep the cats out.
No, but remember we had a kid, I had a neighbor who fell off of the play structure on the sand and cut his head open and went to the hospital because the sand was so hard.
Jeez.
Well,
So our rototilling schedule's gotta get bumped up, you guys need to figure out. I'll go by, because I live there.
Yeah, I've asked Steve
Well-
to rototill more often, but what we need to make it safe now.
Well, it
I mean,
was
needs to
pretty
get
soft
safe.
shade when we were there. I mean,
I know,
honestly,
but it still needs a little more. It
Okay.
needs at least 5 yards.
Yeah, okay, so,
We'll come back next meeting with an actual dollar amount,
Yeah,
okay?
for all
All right.
the, and all the options.
Okay.
Okay, so just
Well,
the
no, not
last-
all the options, because I'm not gonna bring all the options.
Well, we'll get the option, we'll get a couple of options.
Some of the options are too expensive.
Yeah, well, we have money in there, so we
Yeah, we
should do it.
can, we can use,
Right, we could use the
Yeah,
money,
money.
that's what it's there for.
Yeah, but it's not,
Okay, yeah, it
it's
needs to
not
be
just
done.
money, it's
Yeah,
yeah, but I'm just saying, you know.
yeah, it needs to be
natural
done.
park.
Look.
Versus rubber.
No, I,
Rubber that's
right,
nice
but I'm
color.
saying, yeah, I like, but there's no reason why we can't put some money into,
Right,
yeah.
and if it's digging out the sand
Right,
and
yeah.
doing that, then,
Replace
it,
yeah,
the
yeah,
whole-
yeah,
right,
that's
yeah.
good,
You're
Let's
right.
dig out the sand and replace it.
yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so we'll
Okay,
get the prices
Tom
on that.
says,
Just an update on the Capri response report. I gave it to Shay, she asked me to write the cover letter, and I gave it back to Shay to review, because now some of the dates have passed, so Shay's gonna go through it and,
see if we've
see
already,
if what we've accomplished. I'm gonna change the dates, and then we need to submit it to the board for approval to send to
because that's
Capri.
a document from us.
Because it's a document from us. So, once Shay is done with it, I will submit it to all of you for review so that we can send it, because we really need to get it out.
Okay, next item, do we have anything on attendance policy?
We do, we have some, we did the attendance policy, we approved it based on Betsy's approval, our attorney, and she came back with some more comments. Her comments were that if you want to protect the names and the logos and the entities.
Wait, that's not attendance policy.
Oh, no,
That's
it's
a
not
main
attendance.
use policy.
Oh, here's the attendance policy. Oh, no, that was already approved, attendance policy. We've
Approved by
that.
the committee, but we
And-
didn't approve it as a board.
Oh yeah, her comment was, sorry, the district policy shall be followed for unexcused absence. She took out the, this area is the area that we took out, and she said it's okay.
So,
Are we ready to vote on something?
Can I see it?
Yeah, that's it, that's the same thing we submitted,
Okay.
that we did last time, she didn't make any changes. No changes. Thank God.
But we don't have a policy for,
I think what she means is
State
policy.
law.
State law.
Yeah, because there's nothing
We
in our
changed
district
that,
policy.
she said it was fine, so.
Oh, okay, all right. I want to get this done.
Yeah,
I proposed that in February.
I know,
It's
Government moves so quickly.
Okay,
All right, are we
so
ready to adopt?
September,
yeah, we're ready.
Are we adopting the attendance policy?
adopting the attendance policy. It doesn't hurt anybody right now, it doesn't take
Yeah.
anybody off the board, it's
I make a
just
motion
sets
to adopt the attendance
rules.
policy.
you make a motion?
I made that.
Okay, I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank
Done
you.
with that.
Now,
Done.
the SMRPD.
You did something.
That's the way it is done, see?
Okay,
oh,
are we on to the
That
next
was a weird
policy?
vote.
Let's hope so.
The use, okay, so the use of, SMRPD entity names for fundraising, she said we need to put the header on. And she also made a comment saying that if we want to protect these entities, you will need to file separate service mark applications. The use of images is separate. If you mean photographs, there are specific provisions for consent to photographing participants and then using their photographs.
and then she took out a few words, and then she said a word seems to be missing. I think it just needs to go back
To policy.
the policy committee, because she also says here that the SMRPD board may approve at its discretion use of the property for public benefit, nonprofit corporations, and it says you should require a 501c3 designation, and we want to ask her about, or for, or established groups which benefit the area or population served by the SMRPD was our word. She highlighted that, and she wrote, legally you are restricted to dealing with 501c3s.
Oh, we need more information.
And then it says, also says in the end, these statements need to be coordinated with the revised policy
Okay.
in regards to the overhead cost and the budgets.
Did you want me to go over Jody's email or is that not?
No, I think
Okay.
not tonight.
That needs to go back.
Yeah, the name has been used, I have an email exchange with Jody Levine, and she inadvertently used it to obtain a grant, and used the SCC, and she wasn't really, she got that information from erroneous. So what we're trying to do is just protect it, so if anybody is going to say we're raising money for us, then we know about it, we approve it. That's what the bottom line is.
Yeah, so I think we could probably take it back to policy committee and approve it next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so where's Greg? We're just taking a break? I'm gonna take over and adjourn this meeting?
Wait, is that it?
Who's vice
Oh, there he
president?
is.
No, that's it.
Just in time for adjournment.
There's nothing more.
Hey, no, I have stuff.
Anything on communications and district outreach?
Nothing on nothing, I'm out of here.
All right,
You gotta,
okay.
don't forget to sign the bill.
Director's comments.
Tom?
None.
Linda?
I'd just like to say that there's no suppression. I don't think there's anybody keeping anything from anybody, and I think we saw each other, that we worked really well together during the recent fires, and I think we can all do that here, and we need to strive for that, so.
Thank you.
Anyway, a lot of you guys live in Silverado here. I just have really bad news for you. The mud flow is way worse than the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I have
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wait a
Yeah.
second.
Sorry to tell you.
Greg,
Greg, you don't-
if you don't mind, Mary's been working on it, I've been
there's a-
working on it. If
there's-
you want some information, we can give you a briefing.
No, that's
We need to wait till there's more people, but
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
no, it's already being addressed. I've been meeting with people, talking through and work. As soon as the bear report comes out, then we'll be able to figure out, but it is not going to be a pretty winter.
But no matter what the county tells you,
Yeah.
I'd rather have another fire than have to go through flooding.
No,
But,
the fire was not, the
Right.
firemen were phenomenal, and I apologize, I was not there on Sunday night. I had an appointment at 5 o'clock that finished, and then I was on tip duty that night, and I couldn't be two places at once, but the fire department and everybody was absolutely phenomenal. Mark Grossman said he was gonna save our house, and by God he did. Because he was one of the guys who fired out the hill across from us.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, I can't be at the meeting, I'm gonna be out of town, my wife planned a vacation without asking my permission, so
I'm gonna be out on next meeting.
But you're talking about the next scheduled meeting?
October 28th.
You're gonna be gone, and if he's gone, that leaves us
We may
with
not
two
have a
of us.
meeting.
Is it, so think about in the next few days, if we could meet the week before, I don't remember which day is ICL's meeting.
First Tuesday.
First
First
Tuesday.
First Tuesday.
And you said you're not available for that meeting either.
Right, I can't ever do first Tuesday meetings, but what if we met on the 21st, which would be the week before our normal meeting?
I'll have to check my
Okay, would
calendar.
you
I
guys-
get real busy right at the end of October, so I don't know.
I might be in Northern California, but I might be back, I don't know.
Okay, if y'all could look and get back to me, maybe we could do, is there
Well,
Thursday?
can't
or-
Ron show up?
Well, there's already two of us not gonna be here, that hardly makes
Well,
a quorum.
That's 3.
Well, that's three. Just make sure Ron shows up for a meeting.
His work schedule isn't
You
always
know
set
what?
in advance.
Then then
won't be
appoint
a
a
meeting.
different board, have a different, appoint a different
I'll point
board member.
Okay, I wanted to let everybody know that I talked to the Stacy Blackwood at OC Parks at the library meeting. And I talked to her about our van and that we don't use it that much, and that the van might be something that we could use to shuttle kids to the new library. And she was very excited about that possibility. So it'd be, we have the van, the gas wouldn't be much, we'd probably have to get a volunteer to drive, but I think it'd be a really good thing for the kids, because everybody's, the problem for some people is they walk, but everybody else had to drive anyway, so maybe we can help the community out that way. So think about that in case the rest of us aren't on the board.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Because that person is responsible for those children, and the library has already said we're not gonna be a babysitting service. Parents need to come with their kids. So we might wanna think real deep about
That's
that.
something that has to, this is the director's comment, we'll work on it.
I'm
So,
sorry.
I'd like to let you know that Mary Nolan Regal and Chris Regal asked if they could start a science class for older kids. And they want to use one of the buildings here, and I said, how soon can you start? So,
That's great.
so I'm very happy that they're going to start doing that.
So Chris Regal then?
And Mary, his wife, the scientist. And that we were talking, I can't remember who I was talking to, and we were talking about that a scholarship fund could be set up out of monies raised from different events that could provide scholarships to residents that live in the 92676 zip code for the Children's Center. So just as an idea to throw out, maybe if we can start doing enough other fundraisers.
Are you talking about preschool, after school, what?
It could be anything.
Kids in need of financial
Okay, so
support.
needy families send their kids to school and we cover it? Is that
Well,
what?
we don't have the funds to do that, but we could head towards something that way, and we could end up with fundraisers or ask for grant money, and that'd be something that would really help the Children's Center. So, and that's all I have.
It's been done privately currently.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it's been done privately with people that know of a child and sponsoring that child, but never any real effort to create a fund and an application process and all that.
Yeah. So Dennis asked us, Mikhail asked to remind everybody that there's a fundraising committee meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, the 24th, at 6:30 p.m. at the Children's Center.
Fundraising for the Children's Center?
Yeah.
Because we haven't had one in a while.
So they're going to be talking about the Hillbilly Dog Show. So Wendy, I think your dog's right up that alley.
Oh, that's so insulting.
At least they didn't ask if he had his big boy pants on. If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a
Wait,
motion
I
to
didn't
adjourn.
have a direct comment.
Sorry.
I just wanted to say, I'm sorry that you missed the meeting, Mary, but was it Jeff Sarkisian? Talked a lot about the effort that you have made with the Fire Safe Council and your energy to put it out there and always have a booth and put information out, and it was really, really great. And congratulations. You have worked really, really hard.
Okay, Tom has a motion to adjourn, so we're adjourned.
We need to sign these.
Okay, 10:25.
Thank you, everybody. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, there's 3 of them.
Okay.
I signed mine.
Chase you down.
Oh, you were very quiet.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
We need to figure out what's going on there. There's some new stuff over there.
What, you're not being paid yet? No? Oh, God, that happened to me. I got got months and months and months being mentioned in the check.
They found a check out on the street.
Probably not, but it's a track of, I wanna take some pictures. Wait, what's the date on it?
12/13.
Oh, Amy wasn't here.
Might have reissued it already.
Bad dog.